Yeah. Go with dude.
Grab a beverage real quick.
Oh, wait a minute. I clicked on the... Yeah, hold on a minute. I'm just kind of filling it out based off of what I wrote down before, and then I'm adapting it to, like, the actual stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm adjusting it as I go through it.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, what up, internet?
Hey, yo.
Hello.
Evening.
Sorry for leaving you guys in the atmosphere for just a little bit. Had to make sure everything else was
Hello.
working behind the scenes. But with a little bit of preamble, we are ready to go.
Woo!
So,
Bossing, say it, Adam.
deep breath in, and here we go. Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. But then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. But we already heard that story. We cut to now, with the four nations trying to regain that same semblance of harmony under the auspices of the newly fully realized avatar, Aang.
Long may he reign.
So we cut to four brave adventurers having been transported to an old Fire Navy ship in the middle of the ocean. Now, for our four characters, you each know each other, having done an event previously, which we'll cover in a flashback in a moment. But let's go ahead and introduce your characters. You've each been brought to this Fire Navy ship under the auspices of Fire Lord Zuko himself. The guards, there's only a handful of them on the deck, but they appear to have set out a nice table, set some tea for you all to be received. The Fire Lord has not made his appearance, but starting with Kayo, starting with Kayo, describe how your character, having been told you are meeting Fire Lord Zuko himself, how are you introducing yourself? What are you wearing? How are you holding yourself?
Kayo is dressed in like Fire Navy like garb. His hair tied behind his head, using his bandana. He's got his, you can see that he has a scar upon his right side of his face that is hidden underneath a eye patch. He's got a very clean shaven cut, kind of like his sides are cut, but then he's got long back hair tied in a knot. And again, like in Fire Nation sailor's uniform.
So very traditional, prim and proper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
All right. How about Meng Shou?
So a notable distinction when he walks, you see a young man around 19-ish. Very sturdy build, but not bulky. It's very noticeable when he walks around as metal clinging and dragging happens. The most noticeable feature about him is the fact that he does not have his legs beneath his knees. What he has are like a series of pipes and scrap metal that have been welded together in the shape of legs, grafted onto his knees. He walks with a mobility cane. The left side of his face has been heavily scarred and in a scattered like effect, as if hit by shrapnel. He keeps the sides of his head shaved, but hair on top, mostly just to keep it even, as the hair on this left side of his head does not grow in evenly. He wears basic, very commoner clothes of deep Fire Nation reds and browns. He hobbles his way towards a chair and sits down at the table to look at the others.
And then Mi Li.
Melee is dressed in a red mass theatrical costume and kind of standing there juggling, waiting for what's about to happen. They're literally like in their meantime, while they wait for everything to proceed, they're juggling.
Are you just juggling the cups that were on the table?
Yep.
The guards look immediately distressed, but don't yet stop you. All right, and then finally we have, and I apologize in advance, Lani, Cao Pi?
I just messaged you. Cao Pi.
Damn it. All right, how does Cao Pi conduct themselves?
Cao Pi is dressed in kind of greens, tans, and browns. Very, like the semblance of the Earth Nation kind of resonates off him, including in his decorum. He has a belt of looped metal, inlet with many colorful bits of granite, same around his wrists, and he has rings fashioned after similar forms, very dark metal with inlet of colored granite. He's got a full black beard that kind of like comes down to a point beneath his chin. Full head of flowing, almost wild style black hair. He has a smile on his face, especially regarding the juggler and the antsiness of the guards. There's a slight hollowness to his smile, but only to those who would take a much closer look. He seems to be relatively at ease, though.
All right. And now, as I said, each of you were brought to see Fire Lord Zuko, which is a strange event, but perhaps not totally unforeseen, for you all have made a mark on the young Fire Lord in a previous event, which I will take some liberty in at least setting up, for only one of you gave me your backstory enough in advance for me to plan this far ahead. So
I did it this morning.
Meng, I will say you all found yourselves, for one reason or another, in the city of Yudao, the recent flashpoint for the Harmony Restoration movement, as the Fire Nation tried to let go of the old colonies that were set up during the 100-Year War and allow them to be reabsorbed by the Earth Kingdom, only to find that since some of these colonies have existed for a century, there existed an intermeshed culture and society that was not easily pulled apart. So Yudao became the center of a very cosmopolitan atmosphere, as the Fire Nation and Earth Kingdom still try to reestablish a semblance of peace between themselves. So in this metropolis, Meng Shou found himself in a situation where a local shop was suffered a robbery, and having chased down the robbers, found himself put into a perhaps stronger conflict than he estimated. And I'll say, Cao Pi, that is when you inserted yourself in the situation, having recognized the thieves as former guards of the prison you escaped from. How would Cao Pi have reacted?
This being after the war?
Yes.
And these guys were these once guards are now thieves.
Correct. You see, they're using their firebending and martial training to strong-arm local businesses for their own gain.
Looking around the streets, I probably would have done something subtle at first. Probably sliding the earth beneath one of their feet, making them slip, fall, maybe drop some of the things they were carrying, or at the very least lose their bending footing.
And then, Li, you were, by the commotion that was started by Meng Shou and exacerbated by Cao Pi, though no one could tell that was to his direct influence, you happened upon the scene. And what would Li have done in the conflict?
They'd be trying to say, hey, what's going on here? And then try disarming the situation, trying to be like, hey, everybody calm down. Look at me.
Well,
distract them a bit.
In trying to distract them and insert yourself into the conversation, it soon became clear that this wasn't just a small group of ruffians trying to make a quick coin, but something far more organized, as you soon found yourself outnumbered as you seem to gather from the situation that these former Fire Nation soldiers may have been trying to build something far more grand in Yudao than just steal some coppers from a store. And to that end, Kayo, you happened upon the situation already knowing that a few former Fire Nation soldiers were trying to set up a smuggling ring in Yudao, and you now have finally caught some red-handed trying to build up their war chest for their criminal aims. What would you have done?
Well, seeing as I'm assuming basically a lot of people are coming out of the woodworks.
Yes, they all appear quite entertained by whatever Mealy's doing.
Yeah. I'm going Cao
Cao Pi.
Cao.
Cao Pi. If you're...
Well, I'm not Cao Pi.
I know. I thought you were saying you were trying to do something with Cao Pi.
I would say noticing Cao Pi being an Earthbender, or at least like the straddling big fella. Cao gets up behind him and like he basically uses him as a prop, saying, "Hey, I found you guys. All of you halt in the name of the new Fire Nation." And like,
You say that to me?
no, behind you, as like using you as a shield, because you're, I think, probably bigger than he is. He's a short-statured kid. Probably.
I would turn around with a start, just.
Are you with them? He's holding like a wrist-mounted slingshot with a hefty, sharp rock in it, pointing at you.
Shake my head, turn back to them, and like kind of move my arm in a fashion that makes one of them slip off their feet. No.
Well, having heard someone proclaim the authority of the Fire Lord in the city, a fight definitely will break out by that point.
Yeah.
Fortunately, through your combined efforts, you were able to succeed. Tell me how each of you contributed to that fight. Would Cao Pi, for example, would Cao Pi continue just to have steadily kept them off their balance?
Seeing as somebody noticed that I was bending, you said you're a child or childlike?
Childlike, I'd say he's like just peeking over 18, but because of his size and stature, he gives off the air of a kid.
Cao Pi probably initially would have just kind of been subtly helping from the background, but noticing that people are more so in danger would have taken a more abrupt action. If anybody had started to charge him, for example, he would have taken up a stance, thrust his fist forward, at which point the granite that are inlaid in the rings on his gauntlets would have gone flying into the perpetrators. He'd use all the granite inlaid on him basically as projectile weaponry.
Alright, and so as granite projectiles are flying left and right, Mealy having been in the middle of the melee, what would you have done?
Probably seeing how those bad guys are getting attacked and everything. Melee would probably be trying to distract them while they're getting hit by all the granite. So it's like, hey, look at me, and what? And then they get hit by the rocks and stuff.
And Meng Shou?
So taking advantage of the fact that one of Cao Pi's victims who had fallen on the ground, Meng will quickly raise up one of his mobility cane, just slap the guy square in the face. Having spent quite a lot of time studying how to protect his own vulnerabilities and weaknesses, he's learned to exploit other people's and quickly using his own cane to trip people over. moving surprisingly faster than he would normally. You would expect a person of his disability to move. Through a series of fire bending and just practice skill, quickly knocking over them at their knees and legs, keeping them on the ground.
And so after this quick skirmish in the streets of Yudao is brought to a close, with Kayo, you're able to bring an end to a nascent criminal operation that may have subverted the peace and harmony in Yudao, and that, especially thanks to someone's connections, manages to make its way all the way up to Fire Lord Zuko. And at the time, you got a nice letter, said thank you, and that seemed to be the end of it. But it was only a month or two later that you each found yourself summoned to this frigate. And at this time, we have the Fire Lord himself present himself. Not so in aggressive a stance, but in case you want to know what Zuko looks like now, it's like that. He steps forward, a couple of royal guards are tending to him, but he tries to wave them off, and sits down to the table and pours you all some tea. Jasmine, of course, his uncle's favorite. Thank you all for joining me. I apologize for dragging you all out this far, but unfortunately I needed to bring people in I could trust to handle a matter delicately.
Alright.
I look around the room. So you picked us.
I have my reasons. Please sit. I'll try and explain.
I sit down.
During the war, my grandfather, Azulan, dismissed several naval officers, sailors, soldiers for various offenses against his military code. And eventually, those people started gathering together and, well, taking revenge on the Fire Navy. They eventually coalesced into something they call the Crimson Armada. Now, when my father, Ozai, took over, he apparently found a way to keep them off the Fire Navy's back by just bribing them outright. He'd give them food, give them money, and the Armada left him alone. And in fact, they left everyone alone. By the time Ozai came around, the Earth Kingdom Navy was in tatters. However, this was all news to me when I took the throne, and their head captain, Kangana, came and asked if I would suddenly allow a bunch of free money and food to be sent to these people, expecting nothing in return. I honestly thought it was extortion. There was no...
Like it.
Exactly. Well, unfortunately, it seems the Crimson Armada made good on their threat. They've been raiding not only Fire Navy ships, but Earth Kingdom ships as well. Merchant vessels are no longer safe in this part of the seas. And unfortunately, they ended up targeting a ship we could not afford to lose. Zizon's Hope. It was meant to head into the Earth Kingdom interior with a shipment of supplies and reparation funds as part of the Harmony Restoration movement. Now that shipment's gone missing, and the Earth King is already suspicious about our adherence to the treaty. So I need people that they would not immediately assume we're flying directly under my banner. And he kind of shifts his gaze subtly towards Kayo. To head there and recover the supplies, preferably sooner rather than later. I have a ship, a small, and he points to the side of the frigate where a smaller kind of sloop is strung up. Seemingly more water tribe aesthetics than Fire Nation. It has enough supplies to get. I know where the island is, where the Crimson Armada makes their base, and you have enough supplies on the boat where if you take the right heading, you'll be there by tomorrow, probably mid-morning.
And with all due respect, your lordship, what exactly do we get out of this operation?
Zuko frowns slightly as he looks into his tea. What would you want?
Cao Pi just sort of like strokes his beard a little bit. How about the source of this tea?
Zuko looks back up, quite suddenly shocked. Oh, of course, I can give you great supplies and even the location of the island where this jasmine is sourced.
I know some guys who'd like it. I appreciate it.
Zuko nods as he looks around the table. Any other questions?
Kayo shakes his head no, kind of keeping a calm demeanor, but you can see maybe like a bit of jitter in his knees as they're kneeling, kind of like excited to be doing something for the Fire Lord directly.
Meng Shou is eyeing Zuko, having very little knowledge of his reign being so new and having not much pleasant experiences under the reign of his father. He's just kind of tapping his fingernails on the table. Not right now, no.
Beely's kind of like in a questioning pose, asking that we will be helping people, and this will be able to quell down any ongoing conflicts currently going on.
Yes, the supplies will go to areas harshly affected by the war to help them rebuild.
All right. Mealy is completely on board.
Excellent. The one other thing I'd add is the Fire Lord looks at Kayo. That the Crimson Armada has a history of being made of Fire Nation defectors, but I'm not sure how well your uniform would be received. There are some civilian clothes on the boat if you want to change first.
Shakes his head yes and says, I'll do that. I understand my get-up would probably raise a lot of suspicions. So.
Then with that, the Fire Lord will stand, finish his tea, give you all a nod, and flanked by his officers, returns into the frigate. There are a few that remain on the deck to handle like the cargo netting they'd be using to take you down into the sloop thatch to the side.
Yeah, as we get in there, Cao changes into the more civilian clothes. Still keeping the eye patch on it. Probably, it doesn't have any flare. It's just like a basic black. So, gets set up with the rigging and everything.
All right.
Cao Pi seems unnaturally comfortable on a boat, given that he's an Earth Kingdom native.
Meng Jing will hold his mobility cane in his mouth as he's using primarily his arms to climb the cargo net down.
Cao Pi would offer you a hand.
Yeah. Once he gets his mobility cane out of his mouth, he will give you a sturdy thank you. And we'll hobble over to a seat.
Pretty hardy for an old man.
Indeed.
See your fair share during the war, I take it. I point at your obvious scarring.
He shakes his head. I did not have the fortunate luxury of serving the honorable army. I was a factory worker. After the advent of the airships, demand became kind of high, and working conditions became considerably less so.
I assure you there weren't any friendlier in the prison camps.
I'd imagine not. If that was the way they treated their civilians. I can only imagine what you went through then. Forgive the assumption that you were a prisoner.
Untaken. It's kind of like the water tribe says. Hard seas make a seasoned sailor.
I wouldn't know, but sounds about right.
Cao Pi would find a serving bunk and settle in for the trip.
All right. Since it would just be the four of you on board this ship, who would take charge of perhaps navigating? You were given a heading towards Crimson Sails, but ultimately you will still have to sail the ship.
Meng Jing has never been on a ship a day in his life.
I'd say Kyo will probably take that. You know, being part of his background and stuff like that.
You're part of the Navy?
No. Originally fishing, joined the Navy like a couple of years ago, so yeah. So he's used to smaller ships like this, so he'll get all the things squared away and start heading towards our location.
All right. Let's have this be the first roll of the evening then. Go ahead and give me a roll of rely on your skills and training.
Rely on skills and training. That's a hit.
All right. On a 7 or
Nice.
9, you do it imperfectly. The GM tells you how your approach might lead to unexpected consequences. Accept those consequences or mark 1 fatigue. I'll go ahead and say that you are perhaps showing off some of your training a bit too well. As the day passes and you begin to see the island on the far horizon, there is, of course, the possibility that they may recognize the habits of a Fire Navy sailor. So you can either take 1 fatigue to get a bit sloppy, or go ahead and just show off your skills and come what may.
I think I'll take the fatigue, you know, knowing that I might be showing off Fire Nation stuff might not be a good idea.
All right.
Heading into that group.
So, the ship begins to make its way towards Crimson Sails, a island that appears to have been relatively small but has now grown largely over time, as ships that appear to be of various makes and craft have apparently just been brought up to the island to be scuttled. and what you have is kind of a ramshackle community built up more of wood and rotten ships than of actual hard, solid ground. Just a few kind of rocky peaks near the middle of the island show that this was perhaps something built up by volcanic activity ages ago. However, your appearance does not go unnoticed, as a small fleet of ships, about 5, you notice begin to kind of pull away from the shores and docks of Crimson Sails and pull up in front of you. As they, by sheer force of presence, force you to stop, you see a man, older man, just make out the golden eyes of a fire national, but his beard is salt and peppery, and whatever's left of his hair is tucked away behind a big floppy hat. And he shouts from the bow of his ship, "Hello, my friends! It seems you must be lost, or very confused, because we don't know you, and no one in their right mind comes to Crimson Sails unannounced and unvouched for."
Well, that's confusing. How did anybody ever discover this place?
I'm sure they have something said about only found by those who are lost. Can you prove that you're lost?
Yeah. Where are we?
And he ducks behind the bow, and you hear a little, "Shit, he got me there." Well, we still don't know you.
I don't know you either.
Yes, but I'm the one who's living here, so you're gonna have to convince me to let you pass.
I'm Cao Pi. And you are?
I'm Captain Mosi of the Dancing Nobleman. And you actually hear from one of the side boats, "Wait, Cao Pi! Cao Pi!" And Cao Pi, you look to your left and you see 2 people standing up, 2 people that you recognize. They didn't join up with you, but they escaped with you when you broke out of prison.
Hey, brothers!
Go ahead. What do you think their names are?
The better question is, would I remember, like, these are people that I was in prison with, right?
Yes.
I'll just say Fang and Lin.
Oh, Mosi!
Fang! Lin!
Mosi, wait! They're on the up and up. We know this chap. Why am I going, wow? that accent came out of
Real
nowhere.
colonial now. Whoa.
We know this one. We can vouch for him. And Mosi looks off to the side and shrugs his shoulders. Apparently, Fang has made good enough cred with the Dancing Nobleman. And he just goes, "Well, why didn't you say at the start?" Now, Mosi's that accent, too. Gotta love it.
I just introduced myself.
No, not... I meant if they knew you, they should have spoken up, not waited until they heard your name.
Well, it's been a while, if we're going to be honest.
Well, fine. Bring him to the barge if you want, otherwise, leave him be. And with that, the 4 other ships that Captain Mosi led out here turn around and start heading back to the shore.
I shrugged to the rest of the crew on the ship. This is easy.
Fang pulls up his ship next to you to kind of guide you in. So we haven't seen you since before the war ended. Where have you been?
Oh, traveling around. Spent a bit of time in the Fire Nation after everything ended. Now, just trying to make my way, trying to make everything better for everyone else. How about you?
A lot the same, actually. We ended up thinking, during the war, we broke out of prison. We thought, well, the Fire Nation's everywhere on the coast. Let's go out to sea. They can't cover the whole globe. And we ended up finding this place. Turns out, it's just a whole bunch of pirates lazing around all day. Well, that changed recently, honestly. But it was smooth sailing for a bit, but you've picked quite the time to get yourself lost.
Oh yeah? What's been changing up around here?
Fang kind of takes you. He looks around. You know, he doesn't know the rest of you, but he trusts Cao Pi enough to kind of tuck you into the corner of the boat and says, "Big coup happened. Old head captain got tossed out on her ear after she failed to get the Fire Nation to pay for our security. But now there's a whole lot of unrest. No one's a big fan of the new head captain, Ninga."
Be very careful with my pronunciation on that one.
Yeah, I'll type it for everyone's benefit. Yeah, she started it here right when Kagana couldn't get the Fire Nation to pay us off, and got even the crew of Kagana's own ship to toss her out. The prior Howers are all up in arms.
So a bit of a change in management around here. People been accepting it, or is it?
I think the opinion changes from person to person. I know the Renegade Phoenix and Captain Ting Fei are more than happy to start raiding again, but you have the Duga and the Burning Wave who rather we keep on the low, and then Ninka and the Pirehowers are running the shop. They seem to be the most organized of the folks. Honestly, it kind of feels like we're back in prison sometimes when we see the Howlers strutting around. But then we've got the Dancing Nobleins, that's where we're up. We've been just doing whatever we please. Some of us have gone out raiding with the Renegades or the Pirehowers, and others have just... Actually, we've started shacking up with the Burning Wave, gotten into some legitimate business.
Legitimate? I'm trying to find my way into that as well. Post-war time's not easy for a rebel soldier.
Oh, well, we can at least maybe get you an audience with the Burning Wave folks if you want to maybe try your hand at a trade.
Well, hard to say no, eh, lads? I look back at the rest of the crew.
Meng Shou just kind of eyes Fang a bit and nods sagely. Not wanting to perk up certain words.
Cal kind of comes down from the rigging and goes, "Ah, good. I've been waiting to find something else besides lugging your big head around."
I measure my jaw. Look at Fang. It's not that big, is he?
It's kinda. I mean, all the better to bust through prison walls with.
I know you mean the best from that, but I'm feeling real self-conscious now. Huh.
Welcome to the club.
Well, come on. If you want to get some legitimate businesses, we'll take you to Wing first, and then we'll see where you want to go from there. And
sounds good to me.
with that, they lead your ship into Crimson Sails. It's actually quite a bustling community. You would figure there could be upwards of at least 1,000 people on this island living in all these ramshackle huts and carve-outs from old wooden shipwrecks. And eventually, Fang leads you all to kind of a market area. It's a plaza, still scaffolding, wooden planks, wood in various conditions, but wide enough that people have set up a few stalls. And at the heart of it is a stall that looks like it's an overturned life raft with wheels attached to it to make it look like an upside-down wheelbarrow. And then on top of it, kind of where the hull has been carved out to form a little platform, is an ancient-looking man who has the widest smile on his face as a couple other people walk away with some fresh cabbages. And he waves them goodbye and says, "Don't be a stranger to Old Wing. Oh, Fang! I see you brought me someone new." And Fang makes the introductions. He gestures and says, "This is the great Cao Pi who busted us out of Fire Nation prison all those years ago. wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him, and Wing's smile just glows brightly. It's like, oh, so you're here to catch a trade?
Seeing what we can do, see what the market offers. The tides brought us out this way, so fortune be the favor, I suppose.
Well, I've got plenty of stocks I need moving if you want to start out as delivery boys.
What kind of stock?
Well, there's always this, a few kegs of ale that the dancing noblemen's want in their barge. I've got, a couple of, charts here that I think the Burning Wave wanted. Let's see here. Fresh fruit! Fresh fruit! The Howlers have been asking for me to stave off scurvy for months now.
Sailor's delight, that one. Before I tend to lump in with you lot, I do need to know, because I heard there's been a change of management around here recently. What's this I hear about, the Captain Ninka?
Oh, you want to give her a wide berth, I tell you what.
So I've been hearing. What do you know?
Well, from all I can tell, she's someone with a bit of pirating lineage. She says she has great-grandfathers going all the way back to the Fifth Nation in the days of, Kiyoshi. But now she's shown up with all fight and bluster and was able to convince the Howlers to kick Kagana out on her head because she wouldn't bring them any more Fire Nation, trinkets.
I can see how that might put a few angry insects in some people's undergarments.
Yeah, but here's the bit they won't tell you. Some of the Howlers aren't too happy about the change, even though they voted Kagana out. I hear her first mate was particularly put out that he didn't get that captain position.
Being overlooked like that'll often ruffle feathers the wrong way.
Yes, but
Take it you know the gentleman personally.
Oh, I know him by name, and he probably knows me face. If not, I'm not doing my job.
True enough, true enough.
But you want to
be...
be...
kerfuffle has been ruffling the Fire Nation the wrong way, that's for sure.
But if you wanted to learn maybe a bit more about his inclinations, you'll be looking for Fern. You can't miss him. He stinks to high hell even for a sailor. You know, we don't have many of those waterbenders from the Foggy Swamp, but somehow he made his home here just like everyone else.
Where does he frequent?
Well, you probably will find him somewhere around the Pyre Howler itself. They've got a little community around their own ship. I think they even got a little tavern there, but Minka won't let them set it up on the deck itself.
I can see why people aren't very happy with her then.
Well, she runs a tight ship, though. Several Howlers are just happy to be large and in charge, if you know what I mean.
Aye. Freedom is the way of things.
Oh, now that's the mossy speech I know and love.
Ain't nobody meant to be bound to nothing but their own word.
Indeed, indeed. Wing pulls out a fan and just starts fanning himself, looking like he's in a wistful memory.
What kind of currency you trade in here? Fire Nation coin, Earth Kingdom coin?
Oh, any coin's as good as any around here. We get plenty of it nowadays with the raids and whatnot. Barter's also good if you just have something worth trading for.
Right at the moment, all we got's a ship. And can't exactly part with that one.
Well, if you ever feel like setting up roots, there'll be plenty of people looking for a ship of their own.
Got anything that needs some local currying? Maybe to that tavern you mentioned?
Well, perhaps I could be convinced that the ale I'm holding on to for the barge itself could go to a different location. if you had something worth giving me. And he kind of holds the fan to his mouth.
I look back to the rest of everyone.
Meng Shou was a street bagger up until like 3 days ago. Here, let's see if I have anything to use.
I will say, Wing's eye sort of glanced over at Kayo's nice little wrist device. It looks shiny and unique.
Looking at the little slingshot gun on my wrist, and Kayo will take a look at that. It's like, oh, this thing?
It looks quite impressive.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good. Like when you get in tight-knit places, you're not necessarily a bender yourself. You can whack someone from across the room and get a little, be stealthy. Kind of takes it off. Not fully giving it out to him, but like shows how it attaches and keeps the strength while still being at any angle.
That would certainly keep the drunks away from my stores when we have a good party night.
Kayo says, "You're interested in it? I've got another one here in my pocket, so you're more than welcome to take this one."
Would that be acceptable trade?
Well, I have to admit, now that you mentioned that you have another one, it feels like the value's gone down.
Tell you what.
I unnest a piece of like a nice red agate from my belt.
Throw in this little tiger eye.
Oh, you know, I can't resist a good shiny. All right, maybe I can hit someone in the head with this and have a real party going. Deal.
I wag my finger towards him.
I will tell you that does work quite well.
Perfect! He'll take the slingshot and the rock. Fang, do close your eyes and don't tell Mosi what I'm about to do. And Fang clearly gets the program, and he's gonna give Cao Pi a nod and actually just start walking off.
I take the keg of ale.
All right, you may now put in your inventory 1 keg.
Locate the inventory on my character sheet.
It's just your imagination. There is a notes page
Yeah,
if on the Add Moves tab.
I'll use that then. 1 keg ale.
All right.
A waterbender, I'd be able to do something fun with that, but I am not, alas. All right. Let's go find that stinky man at the tavern.
So, just because I have this ability and I want to state it out loud, that I'm going to look for an opportunity to use it. I do have acing the joints. When I use the assess the situation skill, I can add additional questions to the list of questions I can ask. When, even on a miss, I get to ask at least one of the questions from my version of the list of questions I can ask.
All right. Are you thinking you might want to use that on the Pyre Howler's ship itself?
So... Okay, so we just got off the ship and we're on
You are
the
on
island somewhere.
You are on Crimson Sails, which is kind of an island that has been built out with a bunch of wrecked ships, scuttled ships, repurposed ships. There are, of course, several still operating sailing ships. You met a few on the way in, but they kind of surround the periphery of the island.
Okay.
All right. So, with your tribute to Fern of the Pyre Howlers, you make your way over around the island, continuing to see just the state of the place. It's not poor and downtrodden. In fact, it looks like it's in quite the lapse of luxury. There does not seem to be a scarcity you can find, but as you look around, you begin to see several barrels seem to have Fire Nation markings, several crates have Earth Kingdom markings. There are even a couple of, like, water skin jugs that have markings from different water tribe villages from both poles. So it seems like the Crimson Armada here has been making quite the haul at the expense of pretty much the rest of the world. But, that aside, you make your way towards a 3-masted ship flying the standard of a skull in front of a full moon. It is painted with dull colors, kind of like a muddled green and blue, to the point where it would probably blend in with the horizon if you didn't have a fine enough sight to see it coming. But the ship itself doesn't even have the gangway up. There's only one piece of cargo netting that is clearly guarded by 4 different people, and while they're not standing at attention, they're keeping an eye out for just anyone that walks by. Adjacent to that, you do see a large building made from what appears to be a sloop turned on its side, and then a lot of wooden planks lined up to form the 4th wall. And you can hear some just muddled singing coming from inside. Just a long, flaggy tune that is more depressing the longer you hear it. And poking your head into the tavern, it's not guarded, unlike the ship itself. You see a couple of upturned barrels serving as tables, and probably no more than 5 people in here, mostly gathered around a single table as just at a glance, clearly a Foggy Swamp waterbender. He has the leaf hat. Most of his clothes appears to be greenery he has pulled from the more central portions of the island that have been covered up with wood and shipwrecks. And he's kind of bending a couple of mugs of something brown. You can't quite tell what it is, but he's making them dance like little suchless ladies.
I knock on the side of the tavern archway as we walk in.
Who is it? You hear like 2 loud splashes as the ladies drop back into the mugs.
Not interrupting anything, are we? Got a delivery here. Just looking for payment.
Delivered from who? We ain't put in an order.
Well, somebody ordered this keg of ale. I was told to drop her here.
Dead silence. It looks like the person you can probably clearly make out as Fern now was probably about to raise a protest, but once you brought up a keg of ale, everyone immediately turned to Fern, and he shut up. And he goes, yeah, just leave it over here. You bring it from Wing?
Yeah.
Oh, we got a tab with him. We're good. Just put it over there. We'll settle up later.
I wander over and set the keg down.
Fern immediately goes over to it, taps it. It's like, all right, boys, now take a look at this one. And he waves its hands in the air, and suddenly, like a human-sized version of the lady he was making dance in the cup comes out of the keg and starts waving her arms around, and just like little fountains on the ends of her arms start spraying the guys with the booze to rapturous applause.
Nifty little trick. Fancy bending you got.
Hey, it's just another day in the muck.
It seems like you've had a few of those days, if you don't mind the commentary.
His hands waver for just a moment, and the lady fountain stops. What are you on about?
You just seem rather down, that's all.
He twiddles his fingers, and the lady like splits into 5 different pieces and just dives into the mugs of the men still there. They give one round of applause and then immediately start drinking. You got something to say?
Not much to say, only just been hearing rumors, that's all.
Yeah, well, those rumors will get you into trouble.
Don't I know it?
I don't even... Listen, you come in here with booze, that's enough to get you a couple of words. But I don't like the talk you talking. And then he looks behind you to see who you've come in with. I don't know any of you either. Them some funny legs you got there.
Thank you. I made them myself.
I know what you mean. I know a couple of people who bent the vines back home to help them move about. And he kind of twiddles his fingers and nothing happens. Never got the hang of it myself.
Man, he just kind of stares at this guy. He's not enjoying this company.
Well, as it stands, I heard that you were passed up for a promotion, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's what got you, what, 5 barrels deep now?
He hiccups. 6.
Pat the keg that just brought in.
Well, we can add that 7th then, I guess, but...
Now you're talking sense. He reaches a hand over to the barrel, he does like a ripping motion with that arm, and just a stream of ale comes out of the barrel and goes right into his mouth.
Cao Pi just kind of stares, impressed more than anything.
Turns around, burps. Alright, that bought you another minute or so. Conversation.
What joy.
I hear that the current captain, Ninka was it? She's been causing a bit of trouble around these parts for, I guess, everybody.
Well, depends who you ask. I'm sure the Renegade Phoenix thinks it's a whole heaping of help. But it was definitely easier when I didn't have to bend the waves around an Earth Kingdom ship to split it open like a caterpillar egg.
Tell me, if you were in charge, what exactly would you be doing different?
The vacant expression on his face tells you a lot. You can glean pretty much instantly that while the idea of being head captain is appealing, he has not thought about anything other than what he's doing right this second. In fact, that's probably how Ninka was able to step over him for the job.
I led a crew back in my day, back in the 100-Year War. Called ourselves the Unchained.
I think I heard of you. Yeah, you've got some fans here. I think mostly among the Dance to Nobleman fleet. Those freeloaders.
Yeah, a couple of friends of mine. We got out of prison camp together. Some of us stuck together. We kept striking and hitting the Fire Nation where we could. Till the Avatar set everything straight, I guess.
How crowded is this bar?
There are, aside from you four, there are 6 people in here. The 5 who are not in the conversation are busy getting as much ale as they can out of that barrel before Fern drinks all of it.
Okay, so it doesn't look like anyone's paying attention to the conversation we're having?
No.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure there weren't any loyalists who might ponder upon this.
Fire Nation loyalists?
Loyalists
No.
to the new captain who might have issues with us
Conversation.
talking to the guy who got passed up to the job.
I ain't said anything treasonous yet.
Well, and I would say, given that that's on Meng's mind, you're probably piecing together, given the situation, that the 5 people in here with Fern are probably people that feel somewhat related to him. Like they're maybe not loyal to him, but probably also have some level of buyer's remorse when it comes to installing Ninka as captain. Hence why, in the middle of the day, they're in here drinking.
Always need a reason to be day drunk.
Yep.
Well, it's especially sad.
It's true. I just hear that she might be bringing a little bit of heat where the heat ain't wanted.
Yeah, I think she's counting on all this peace talk, making everyone a bit too weak in the underbelly, if you catch my drift. Just rolling the catigator over and getting at that little soft inside. And I don't think she's wrong. And in fact, that's probably why everyone's so willing to deal with her. Because between you and me, she is a bitch.
So I've heard.
Yeah, but she's kept the Burning Wave and the Renegade Phoenix at each other's throats, and the Renegade Phoenix are happy to get back to raiding. They were the ones always complaining about stuff not being lively enough around here. And her crew, well, our crew, most of the crew, are happy to be large and in charge. Kagana was kind of happy to let everyone do their own thing, but now that Ninka's here, the Pyre Howlers are at least in theory on top.
What happens when the nations start cracking down on activities, though? I mean, that wouldn't be good for business.
I think that's what Duga's been saying, if I've been hearing him right. But, Tenfei won't hear it from him, and Ninka clearly has her own agenda going on. Mosi wouldn't care if the sun rises or sets. He does what he does.
What about you? What do you think?
So, finally, for once, Fern seems to be somewhat aware that he is talking talk. And he looks around, checking to make sure no one else has come into the tavern, as much as his glazed expression seems to express any sense of concern or worry. I mean, if I were to have my way, I would like things to go back when Kagana was here, but she made it seem that that was a no-sell when she came back from meeting with Zako, the Fire Lordy. Failing that, well, I think the only thing we can do is raid. Just gotta pick our pieces a bit better.
How many ships would you say there were, like, as we kind of pulled into port? Like, among the entire combined fleet?
So 3 ships stood out to you the most. They were all 3-masted, with their sails fluttering with a sense of care and maintenance, unlike the rest of the flags and tattered sails that make up the rest of the island. Hence why it's called Crimson Sails. As for, like, what would happen if every single ship here mustered out into a single fleet, you would probably get a couple of dozen, maybe even dozens, but it would be led by those 3 large ships. The Pyre Howler being one of them, the one that's right outside.
Between all these ships you guys got out here, you'd be able to form quite the trade fleet if you wanted.
Oh man, you be speaking Duga's gospel.
Duga might have some sense about him.
Yeah, he may have sense, but he's pissed off too many people on this rock to even get that fleet going. The Burning Wave, the Renegade Phoenix will never work with the Burning Wave. The Burning Wave will never work with the Renegade Phoenix. And, I don't know, maybe Duga can get Mosi to do something, but the fleet's always, the Dancing Noblemen's always do what they do.
And yet you all share this little archipelago.
Yeah, there's strength in numbers. And I think in ancient times we were all more motivated by a common purpose.
That purpose being profit or freedom?
Some days one, some days another. Though I know Mosi's always been column B.
So Ninka's out here just thinking that plundering's the only way to make a living, I see.
Man, she's convinced enough to have them go dance to her tune.
Well,
Listen, you brought me booze, and you've been talking some interesting talk. I'll tell you what. If you have the same kind of proclivity as I do about Ninka, then maybe we can work something out. But I don't have enough to get a vote against the captain. You'll need to get one of the other larger groups involved, preferably more than one.
I'll start with that group that seems to be talking the most sense. What'd you say their name was again?
The Burden Wave, led by Captain Duga. I'm not sure if Duga will. I'm not sure if they'll let you see Duga right now, but yeah, who knows? Maybe if you brought them just as much booze as you brought me. He does another wrenching gesture with his arm, and another stream just goes right down his throat.
Well, plumb out of that, I guess that's a problem, but let's see what we can make do with. Anyway, enjoy the ale. Thanks for your time.
You bet! As you walk out of the tavern, you immediately get yells from the back, hearing, "Fern, dang it, you already emptied the whole bin!" "Oh, guys, but you... Oh, so, leaving that mess behind you.
I confer with everybody else. So it seems
Colorful lot.
It seems like Duga's the one that has the most head on their shoulders in terms of making this a peaceful operation.
Yeah, so what's the plan? Just try to be diplomatic and convince them to hold yet another coup?
Not sure this would be considered a coup so much as it would be a coming together of ideas for the common interest.
That might lead to... Let's face it, this new boss does not sound like she's going to be willing to step down over democracy.
But perhaps common sense. Imagine if you were living in this place, just making a living the best way you can, and all of a sudden the Fire Nation attacks you. Imagine you're the air nomads. If Zuko were to send the entire naval fleet here, this place would be wiped out in the matter of minutes. I think he sent us here because he doesn't want bloodshed.
Yeah, and it really
Perhaps.
wouldn't look good for us to be attacking a place like this so close to the Earth Kingdom. You know?
Mm-hmm.
He taps the left side of his face with his right hand.
Also,
I'm optimistic that Lord Zuko has the best intentions at heart, but you'll forgive me if I'm skeptical of a Fire Lord's true intent.
so with that thought in mind for both Meng and Kayo, you both think about perhaps what the consequences of the Harmony Restoration movement may have for the Fire Navy. There is a distinct possibility that Zuko's forces are spread thin and actively demilitarizing as it is. So, on top of just the goodwill of not wanting to scrape the Crimson Sails, to wipe the Crimson Sails off the face of the map, he may not have the immediate resources to.
Yeah, a lot of us being turned into either merchant vessels or more just, small naval ships. We don't have all of the big ships like we used to.
I mean, even Zuko met you all on a frigate, when in the past the Fire Lord has always held court on a royal battleship.
Yep.
Right, so we need to find something to barter. To get... it's RPG fetch quest after fetch quest time.
All we really need is an audience. How we get that audience?
Would you say you're walking around Crimson Sails as you're discussing this, or have you found maybe a hideaway to coordinate?
Probably discussing in transit back to either our
Yeah.
ship to get to this. You said it's like the burning fleet that we're trying to.
The Burning Wave.
Course.
It's the
Burning
Burning
Wave.
Wave is a single ship, and it was one of the larger ships. So you can see the mast and the flag of it from pretty much anywhere on the island, except if the center kind of peak of the island is blocking you.
Meng Shou would like to wander around a little bit to try and get the lay of the land and determine the location of things and where the supplies we're after might be held.
All right. Would you be doing this alone, or would you try to make sure someone comes with you?
Well, I figured we'd be walking around as a group
Okay.
and be less suspicious, but you
All
never
right.
know.
Then you can go ahead and make me a roll. Let's call this an assess a situation move, as you're kind of assessing the general state of Crimson Sails, perhaps.
Right.
And yes, you can factor in the casing the joint move you have.
Okay, so I got a 9, which means that I can only ask one question.
In addition to one question from your casing the joint move.
I think. I know casing the joint lets me ask one question regardless if I fail, but the one question I can ask if I fail has to be from the casing the joint options.
Okay, you may always ask one question from these options you don't miss. Okay, yeah, so it would be one question among the 8 options you have.
Right.
And for the benefit of the crowd, could you click the speech bubble next to assess a situation?
Speech. Oh yeah, speech bubble. Damn it! Hang on. I'm not seeing the speech
Full
bubble
hit.
for.
Wow.
Well, that one doesn't count.
One moment.
Because I already did the roll
One
for
moment.
3. Yeah, there's no speech bubble next to assess the situation. Yeah, that one.
There was for me. I'm not. Huh.
All the other ones have a speech bubble, except and live up to your principle also doesn't. The first one of each.
That's weird because I'm looking at your sheet and it's there. I'm not sure if it's just because I'm the GM. Anyway, this is the move. This is the move that Ronin rolled for. Just for anyone who wants to see it.
Okay, you know what? Let's go with what here can I use to. I don't want to say barter with because that would require us to steal it.
If I may give you a suggestion,
Okay.
you don't have to take it. Perhaps what here can I use to impress Captain Duga? Or maybe get an audience with Captain Duga?
Yeah, okay. Admittedly, I'm rusty with the system, so I don't know what the limitations of the fill in the blank could have been. But yes, I will go with that one.
All right. Well,
And for the purposes of the audience and the crowd, the additional questions that I am given access to do my case the joint ability is, what here is most valuable or interesting to me? What here is the most... Who or what is the most... vulnerable? That time it is vulnerable. And who here is in control, wealthiest, or has the most power, which we already know.
all right. So, your question is, what here can I use to, which is it? Is it impress Captain Duga or just get an audience with him?
Let's get an audience.
All right. So, your assessment, not only going off your walkabout, but also the conversation with Fern, is Duga and the Burning Wave have a beef against the Renegade Phoenix and Captain Ting Fei. If you two were to do something against the Renegade Phoenix, or to the Renegade Phoenix's detriment, that would at least get your foot in the door with Duga, because anyone that makes them mad would make him happy. As for what in particular, you do notice... Let me pull this back up. As you're walking around, you do get a look at the Renegade Phoenix itself, and it is one of the worst-looking ships in the fleet, yet still seaworthy. It's clearly designed for 2 masts, but now features 3 of awkward sizes, and the sails are strung every which way. Its hull is a patchwork of wood, and to a more keen eye, perhaps even Kayo notices this, it's resplendent in redundancies, to the point where, even though it's ugly as all get out, it probably would take the most damage on the chin before it would finally sink. You, even walking by it, can hear some rowdy nonsense going on the top deck. It seems like the Renegade Phoenix crew is keen to their own parties, and they have them on the ship, instead of the Pyre Howlers apparently keeping their ship sacrosanct from such activities.
Kayo kind of just makes note to the crew about that, like, you know, this looks a mess, but damn, this thing can take a lot of damage before it can sink.
Well, for the record, it's made out of wood, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
you do not see any ironclad ship that the Fire Navy currently uses. It looks like all these ships are either transfers from the Earth Kingdom or just smaller vessels that never got upgraded to ironcladding.
Well, all wood still burns, but that doesn't do us much good.
I don't think we want to start a riot around here, but what if, and I point to the top of the mast, we take that, and I point at their flag.
Their flag, you see, is a phoenix, surprise, surprise, kind of looking like it is going on a full diving posture with its flaming wings firing out the back of it in kind of like a diving eagle pose.
Surely that would get us an audience with anybody that wished to see them have egg on their face.
So, what do we do? Do we just sneak on board and steal it, or do we make more of a show out of it?
Well, the easiest way would be to cause a distraction and allow somebody else to get up there and steal it.
Melee pokes their head out. Distraction, you say?
I do.
It does sound like right now they're already having a bit of a party up there.
Are there guards posted on the gate to the ship, or
No, they are all in quite a mood upstairs, though. You like just from the noise, there could be 24 people on the deck. So getting up to the deck isn't a problem, but then once you're there, there's 12 people that are looking at you.
all right? All in favor of shoving the jester up front?
What do you say? Want to put on a show, kid?
I'm down for that.
Let's get 'em
Yeah,
a
Melee's
show.
like going through all like their tools and stuff and everything, like just trying to like bring up as many distractions as they can, right? To like do everything they can to have all the attention on them.
Now the question is, who's going to be scaling that mast and taking that flag down?
I think I might have. You want to try it, little sailor boy? You can go right on ahead. I am
Well,
slipping into Texan.
Well, I would say if you think you can climb up there like a spider monkey, there, old man. I just don't want you getting your legs tangled up in the rigging.
Oh, don't worry. I can get up just fine. So is the rigging have ropes that slide, go up around the everything else?
Well, it is a functioning sailing ship, so the rigging would do whatever a sailing ship could do. And I would say, given the fact that it is a bit of a ramshackle, I would say it's probably easier to climb the masts than it would otherwise, since maybe one of the masts is actually completely new and installed. So some of the rigging had to be built specifically just to give it structural support. So there's extra rigging.
Yeah, I think I can make this work.
All right.
All right, sounds like we got ourselves a plan then.
So I will say, let's see, take +1 ongoing when acting on the answers. Okay, yeah, this would count. So you would get a +1 when it comes to interact, specifically undercutting the Renegade Phoenix for the benefit of the Burning Wave. But all right, sounds like phase 1 of the plan is for Mi Li to make an entrance and cause a distraction. So, Mi Li, what do you do?
Well, I think, like, because, you know, Melee's already in the costume and stuff, he's gonna, like, pull out, like, kind of like a flag, like, that he uses to, like, advertise for, like, stunt performances and stuff, saying, like, hello, everybody, it's now time for the Red Trooper Stunt Show. We travel across the lands to entertain the masses. Like, he just makes, like a bunch of commotion right at, like, where one would go up on top of the boat, initially.
Alrighty. So immediately of just making your presence and announcing yourselves, all eyes are immediately on you. Let's go ahead and make this a rely on your skills and training. And this will be sort of the thing that, if you hit, just makes the next approach possible. And if you fail, then it's still possible, but there's going to be a greater complication.
Okay, so
If
it's
you
been a hot
op-
minute since I've been on Roll20, so what do I hit again?
If you're looking on your character sheet, there should be a
Yes.
column that says moves, and then a move that says rely on your skills and training. You can just click that.
Let's see. Lion skills and training. Yep, there we go.
Oh, you get a 6. Okay, so there is a help move. So if someone else in the group will join Ming Li and contribute to the fiction of how they're helping with the distraction, that player, that character, can take a fatigue to add +1, which will turn your miss into a hit.
Something else I have to. Oh no, I didn't take that one. I'll help.
All right.
So I take 1 fatigue.
Yeah, describe how you're helping first, and if it's justified to me, then you can take it, and I'll give the +1.
Absolutely. I will use the shiny granite that I bend as weaponry to kind of flank melee to give this sort of like glittery sort of star shine spectacle around them, making them extra shiny and extra presentable.
All right. So, Cao Pi makes themselves visible to assist with your display, changing your 6 to a 7. So now we get to...
Yeah, I'm no slouch of a showman myself, as I kind of like strike a pose, and then the glittering granite kind of sparkles around you and emphasizes your movements.
All right. So go ahead and take that fatigue. You'll get the +1.
Boop.
So you do it imperfectly. The GM tells you how your approach might lead to unexpected consequences, except those consequences are marked 1 fatigue. I'll say that with a bunch of shiny stones around you, you may end up causing some collateral damage to the Renegade Phoenix during your performance. So you can either accept that possible consequence or take a fatigue to ignore it.
Yeah, I'll take the fatigue.
All right. So the distraction is set. The dozen crewmates on top of the Renegade Phoenix are... Captain must have gotten us a new playmate. Why the fuck did I say that? Sure, run with it. Playmate. That's what they said.
A little toy.
They're cutthroats. They'll think of you as a fresh slab of meat. So they all gather around you, just enough to give you a berth because they see a bunch of rocks going around you. But you definitely have their full attention. So now with that,
Doing like a comedic jig while they're watching.
So with that in play, who's going up for the flag?
So, Meng Shou is going to start taking a wide berth angle around the crowd towards the exterior, and as he does that, he's going to move his mobility cane. As he does, he's going to pull on a string, and a little hook is going to come out of the end. And his posture is going to change as he walks. Well, he normally hobbles around, really emphasizing how much he needs the cane. He starts walking around more normally. And he like walks up to the mast of the flag is on, and he starts looking around to see how well everybody's doing it. As he does, a slight, very subtle, high-pitched whistling starts airing out of the ground as a series of the like ends of the pipes he has constructed his artificial legs out of have high pressure of air start pushing out as flames shoot out of them, Ida from My Hero style, as he starts using the hook to like grab onto parts of the rope, and then using the as he's firebending through his stumps, channeling them through the pipes his legs are made out of. He starts kind of climbing the mast to boost himself up.
All right. Wow, yeah, you go ahead and rely on your skills and training too.
Now I can I get that +1 from my
You do.
So that would make that a 10.
All right, so you literally skate up the mast and grab the flag. As you propel yourself off the top, where would you like to land?
I hook onto one of the ropes that head down and just start sliding and do like controlled firebending burst out to like control my descent as I just land on the side. And then I would target whatever rope seems like it's going to be closest to the the cargo net. If there's any kind of cargo net on the side that land is on,
Yeah.
he's going to go for that side and just like completely go off the ship.
Wow.
And just start hooking himself along the, completely dropping the illusion that how crippled he really is.
So, to at least Kayo, you have revealed yourself to be not who you've portrayed yourself as, but you land on the dock with the Renegade Phoenix's flag in tow.
Kayo's gonna go. Cao Pi's not gonna believe this. As he like kind of notices Meng Shou do all that, and he's kind of goes and maybe signals to the others, like, you know.
So mere minutes after commencing your show, you hear a little whistling come from behind the ship, signaling that the job is done. How do you try and conclude your performance?
Okay, I kind of have an idea. That'd be interesting. All right. Melee's like, all right. That was a free show. If you want to see more, we'll be within the city. We'll be here all week. Be sure to check us out. And then he does like some kind of like crazy, kind of like backflip trick, trying to like get off the boat.
All right, yeah, you do it. We don't need a roll for that. There's you land on the dock as I assume Meng is trying to make sure no one peeks over the ledge to see, oh, flag! But as you land, you just hear a bunch of, oh, great, yeah!
Cao Pi opens up like a small sack for anybody that wants to throw tips in. I'm guessing it's not a very...
You get a few copper pieces, but they're
Hell
stingy
yeah.
bastards.
I figured there was only a few minutes of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to drinking, boys! And there's another, yeah! Dang Faye's gonna love this story.
Step back down onto the deck. Got a few copper out of it too. Good work.
All right.
All part of the gig.
So with your, I'll go ahead and kind of hand wave this, because I think you guys put in enough effort with that performance. You get to the burning wave, and they're immediately like, what are you doing here? And you go, hey, we've got the Renegade Phoenix's flag. And they went, oh shit! And you find yourself quickly hurried into, you're actually not escorted onto the burning wave itself, but there is a yacht next to the burning wave where it appears Captain Duga makes court. It is a much more... The burning wave, it seems to be a set old-style warship. It is built to raid and plunder and carry cargo back. But the luxury ship that you're taken to is definitely much more refined, well-stated. It seems to be actually one of the newer designs out of the newly established Udao shipyards. Some metallic cladding on it, but definitely much more for aesthetic purposes than defense. And a much shorter first mate, looks like Earth Kingdom sort of features, but about the size of a child. They don't give you their name, they just say Dawa. Very confusing. But they take you into the back to the captain's quarters, and you see a rather lush presentation with a nice furnished desk at the end. For shits and giggles, let's say it's mahogany. And
I get it.
Yep, kicking up his legs is a much younger man, probably not even in his mid-30s yet, counting a couple of coppers and other styled coins on his desk as he sees you walk in, and the person who only introduced themselves as Dawa walked over to him and just whispered in his ear, and he perks up and kind of gestures for Dawa to take their leave, and he turns back towards you. So I hear that you brought me something very interesting.
Beijing's going to reach in underneath his tunic and pull out the flag because he didn't want to walk around. And he's going to go back. He's gone back to his original posture of like using his mobility cane to hobble around. And he holds out the flag for the captain.
Heard you might be interested in something like this.
You heard correctly, though perhaps I'd be interested to learn who you learned that from. Though, no matter. If you wouldn't mind, and he holds out his hand.
He's Meng Shou hands him the flag. He's already holding out for him to take it.
Duga kind of looks through it a bit. Terrible stitch work, half of it clearly taken from Fire Nation silk ship. Oh, no, this is genuine. Though something tells me if it really is the genuine article, I'll soon hear about it outside. Come nightfall when they finally take a moment to look up at the stars. So, what did I do to earn such a spontaneous gift?
It's not quite what you did to earn it, but what we could possibly help you with. We hear that you might be a calmer head in the situation in terms of leadership around here.
Oh, now that is interesting conversation. He puts the flag down on the desk and kind of steeples his hand over it.
See, the pillaging and raiding in the post-war has ruffled a few feathers the wrong way in the outside world. A lot of people who need goods not getting them. A lot of people with a lot of power are getting kind of upset. And the eyes are slowly drawing on this little archipelago.
Yes, that was my concern when it came to the vote about replacing Kagana, but clearly the wind was blowing in another direction, so it seemed safer to kick the old girl out. I assume you mean to mention that Ninka's already gotten some attention, hence why you're here.
Yep, unfortunately. As it stands, the way that she's doing business isn't exactly good for the stability of the world, and being freshly out of a war, well, that's not exactly good for anyone's business.
Yes, I told her that trying to raid the Fire Nation shipments to the Earth Kingdom was bound to stir up more trouble than it was worth, but suffice to say, well, she definitely has an axe to grind against the Fire Nation and won't listen to sense.
A lot of us do. But that doesn't change the fact that I assume she'd be able to appreciate what new management means.
One wonders. I haven't gotten quite a bead on her. She only showed up so recently. Though... Go ahead.
How recently, exactly?
She pretty much appeared out of nowhere once Kagana came back and said Zuko wasn't going to keep up the bribes. I'm not sure if she was already on Crimson Sails before then, but it seemed like the very same night Kagana said the tap had run dry, she appeared, promising a new era of wealth and plunder for all those that would follow her. And after she convinced most of the Pyre Howlers to kick Kagana out and the other captains, well, might as well see what the new boss is like.
Well, the new boss is ruffling the wrong feathers, unfortunately. And if they are as fresh as you say they are, there might be some ulterior motive.
I'm inclined to...
Any word on where they came from?
Not really. She definitely has the Firebender's spark, so if she has an axe to grind against the Fire Nation, I would assume perhaps the colonies. But I can't say one way or another. I've been focused on other matters. If you... to not beat around the bush, it is definitely in my interest to keep Crimson Sails as a free port and to not gather too much attention. But when it comes to taking Ninka down, I'm outnumbered. The Renegade Phoenix definitely support her position of plundering any and all, and Mosi just seems to be sitting back and waiting to see which way the wind blows. Now, me and Mosi together, that might be enough to unseat her, but that would be quite the showdown.
Well, you got another in your corner, potentially. A drunk swamp bender.
Fern? He's really trying to make a play at it?
I don't think he's trying to make a play, but I don't think he's happy with current management either.
Well,
I
that...
think he'd, at the very least, make for an ally.
Well, that would give us an edge on a captain versus captain fight. But that does still mean you'll either have to get the Renegade Phoenix out of our way, or convince Mosi that this is a fight worth having.
Well, it's either that or appeal to Ninka's better interests.
You'll have to...
Beijing kind of scoffs.
One way or the other, if you're trying to take Ninka down, you'll either need the rest of Crimson Sails, or at least a majority of Crimson Sails, to move with you against her, or get Kagana back in play. And honestly, I don't know where she went after the Howlers voted her down.
Do you know anybody that would know?
She was definitely good friends with Mosi. Now given his current position, not immediately beating his chest to get her back, I'm not sure really how strong their friendship was. But if there's anyone on this island who has any idea where she could have gone, it would probably be him.
Would you perhaps be able to get us an audience? A proper one, not a brief introduction.
No, you're not willing to pull this stunt again? And he just taps the top of the flag.
I figured that one is a good enough inclination as to our capabilities.
Oh, your capabilities, sure. I certainly believe you have some ability to cause change around here. As for a letter of introduction with Mosi, I can't exactly say he'd take anything I'd offer him. Now, when Duga says that, though, Cao Pi, you remember that apparently you have several fans among Captain Mosi's fleet. Fang being just one of them.
I do have a few people who know me among his fleet.
That'll probably
Perhaps
get you in the door better than I could.
Well, as somebody with a bit more station around here, we had a brief introduction previously, and I'm not sure how much my friends would curry favor. But if you and them together were to perhaps introduce us, that might be, give us a bit more station in the conversation.
Let's do a rare balance move here.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say you're trying to call Duga out to act in accordance with his drive or his principle. If you can
call him out.
If you're the first things first, what do you think his principle is?
I think his principle is first and foremost. Okay, is there like a list of principles I need to pull from, or am I just guessing what his ultimate motivation is?
No, it's simply a one-word virtue that would describe his key motivation in life.
Stability.
All right. So, having guessed the call out, you can now go ahead and roll. Let's see here, try to pull that back up. So you have to shift your balance away from center. Currently yours is at plus 0 leadership, plus 0 support, I believe. So you can choose either to move it towards leadership or towards support.
Okay. Feels like I'm taking leadership here, so I'll shift it in that direction.
I would agree. So you are rolling with Duga's principle. So roll, just roll 2d6, and we'll be adding 1 to whatever the result is.
You just want me to do like a custom roll, or do you want me to click the call someone out button?
I'm interested to actually see what the character sheet does. So click call someone out.
Yeah. Oh, it tells me to roll with -3.
Hmm.
Where does that? Where does that stat pop up?
Maybe it's trying to roll with your... No, it's with the principal of the
Oh,
NPC.
never mind. It lets me choose.
Oh, okay.
-3 is just okay. So you said +1. Roll
Correct.
with +1.
Correct.
Submit. Yeah, full hit. 12.
Ooh, a full hit.
Called that bitch out.
All right, they are called to act as you say. They must either do it or mark a condition. I'll say Duga definitely feels like just doing what you say.
Right.
A captain walking around in crimson sails will definitely draw attention. However, Dawa, the door opens and the shorter person comes in. Oh lordy, don't say that out loud. Dawa comes back in and looks back up. Yeah, boss. Take these. Head to the barge with this group, and when they try to ask for Mosi, go ahead and let it be known to whoever stops them that they come with my auspices. And Dawa just nods.
Appreciate it. Hopefully we can bring some common sense back to these waters.
Perhaps indeed. If you ever need to convey a message to me, try finding Dawa first. Having a lot of meetings in one place with captains is definitely going to draw attention.
Works for me. Dawa, where can I normally find you?
Dawa points out the window towards the burning wave. Now, I'll hang out. After I drop you guys off, I'll hang out by the wave.
Sounds good. Well, let's be on our way, shall we, boys?
Alright. And so as you guys make your way over to the headquarters of the Dancing Nobleman Fleet, we will take just a short 5-minute break, because I have got to take a leak.
Oh,
I feel that.
All right.
Hello, chat.
How are the chats doing today?
It is good. We have 100 bits from a...
Tomasalorio. What's up, Tomasalorio? Back at the table? The digital table, at the very least.
Yep.
Though I will say, Tales Unwritten Season 2 or Book 2, whatever we end up calling it's going to be, it's looking like it's going to be a pretty fun one. I've been seeing some of the daily edits. If you enjoyed Tales Unwritten Season 1.
I certainly did.
Hell yeah.
Same.
Really fun story Stefan is crafting there.
Yeah.
You can check it out now over on 4-Star Bento.
Or on youtube.com/Tales Unwritten. We're going to be uploading a director's cut, essentially, of Season 1 up there, too, shortly. With extended scenes and more art.
The art.
The art. Pardon me, I need to go refresh my beverage.
Yeah, I'm gonna go do the same.
I'm staying with you, chat. It means almost nothing to you, but I'm staying. Don't forget, we're doing the charity drive. I do not have the ticker thing up. I cannot check if there has been any donations since the start of the stream, but...
There has not.
Okay. I put the link back in the chat. Remember, for $50 you can for a $50 donation, you can acquire a seat on a privately run game DM'd by our very own DM for this game, Quinn.
And it doesn't.
Systems
And this is
available.
only one of the games I will run for you if you'd like. We could do a more standard D&D game. I even have a Star Wars game in my back pocket for anyone
is pretty
interested
cool.
in proprietary dice.
Also, I'm back.
Alrighty. We're just missing audio, or is everyone back already?
I'm pretty sure
Nick
Lani
went out to
get
go
it.
get a refill on his beverage.
Alrighty. We can wait.
I'm kind of tempted to do my same, but I don't want this to be one of those, like, okay, well, just trickling in and out things.
I get you. We got time.
I know I should have set a timer when I said 5 minutes. That way I can just start shouting at people. You're late! Get back!
I vaguely looked at the time. I didn't really make a full note of it.
I mean, like,
whatever.
we're kind of like at the hour, so maybe like
Yeah,
just add 5 to that.
that's fine. Although we did mention the new 4-star, the new Tales Unwritten channel, so I am going to pimp the link in the chat really fast, both chats. Hopefully it lets me. I don't know if YouTube lets me. I think YouTube goes back and forth on whether or not it lets me do that. So youtube.com/@TalesUnwrittenShow. There are no videos uploaded to it right now, but the algorithm reasons and whatnot, there will be where season 2 will end up.
And also a director's cut of season 1 with additional
Yes,
art
we,
and
Nice.
I think a couple of scenes.
I'm back.
Yes.
Alright. Audio, are
Welcome
you
back.
back too?
Oh,
Yeah, but
Alright.
oh, quick question, Spy. Like, just out of curiosity, because I'm playing the bold here. I got the Legacy of Excellence, and one of them was Paul for Ridiculous Stunt. Was that thing earlier counting in that, or not quite yet?
Entertaining a bunch of pirate cutthroats while you stole their flag. You know what? I'll count that. Go ahead and mark it.
Hey, nice.
Oh yeah, I should be paying attention to some things.
Yeah, I thought about it retroactively when we took the quick break. Because like that was one of the ones I did check off as one of my things for the 4 for this session.
Oh yeah, I'm not paying attention to those since this is a one-shot.
yeah.
That's for
I
like.
kind of picked ones
when
that
you
would kind of
level
go well with the one shot, so I'm just doing it for the the sake of funsies.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I've got.
You can
I got
engage in
Inspire,
bad
Where I
habits.
live up to my principle and roll a hit. Does that technically count with what I just did?
So, there is a specific move where you use your principle instead of the applicable skill to roll for
I
something.
see, I
That
see,
yeah, that would be what that is.
Alright, cool. I haven't done anything. Never
Yeah,
mind.
but now that you have +1 leadership, if you're ever called to do something you have either a 0 or a -1 in, you can try living up to your principle instead. Alright. With everyone back, we return. So, Dawa leads you around the island once more until you find yourself at the barge. What originally seemed to be actually quite a large, perhaps freighter ship that had been scuttled on the island. They had hauled it out and have completely honeycombed it with these other buildings either on top of it or inside of it, kind of turning it to its own miniature city all of its own. And you can actually see moored to it on the other side is one of the larger ships, the same ship that you saw Captain Mosi come in and try and interrogate you on. So Dawa comes up and you walk inside to see that it is actually kind of a mix between a tavern, gambling hall, meeting space, the whole shebang. And it actually takes Dawa a little bit to find someone who is actually just willing to show you up to where Mosi is. It seems like the Dancing Nobleman fleet is definitely a much more loose coalition than the other pirate crews. But you are eventually escorted up to near the top of the barge and let into, instead of an office, what appears to be an apartment. And you see Mosi sitting on a couch, looking like he was reading a book on a table, before he looks up and sees you all being brought in, and the person that escorted you, and then Dawa too, kind of just nod and leave. Well, you've been here a few hours, already made mortal enemies with the Renegade Phoenix, and apparently fast friends with the Burning Wave. I should not have doubted you, Cao Pi. But what brings you back to my door?
Well, the interests of your fleet, I suppose.
My fleet's interests are quite broad and wide. We'd have to be a bit more specific.
So broad and wide that they're catching the attention that they don't want to be caught.
He looks up at you, gestures his hand flatly, and then kind of draws it in a circle. Go on.
Present management is ruffling a few feathers in the recovering world. As it stands, should things continue as they are with the plundering of medical supplies and recovery funds, you might be drawing the entire world against you. And something tells me that stabler heads might be better in this situation than the current management.
Are you trying to bring me into a coup against Ninka?
Not necessarily. Though, if you did have information on where the previous leadership was, maybe we could get to the bottom of the situation a little quicker.
I'm gonna say make a plead move.
Plead.
If only because, thanks to Cao Pi's connections with the fleet already, given his status among several of the crews, and also what you've now been doing on Crimson Sails itself, he does care about what you think.
Hiya. Did that go through?
Yeah. There we go.
Full hit, 11.
Jeez. My,
Nice
my.
like me.
Alright,
The
so...
other shoe is going to drop. It'll happen.
On a plus 10, they act now and do their best until the situation changes. Yep. Alright, well, if only because I've been dying to see what would happen if people rally to her. Kagana took a skiff and a few loyal howlers and went to an island about a half-day sail to the northeast. It's a little spit of land. No one even bothered setting up shop there until now. She's probably biding her time until someone tries to call her back. It wasn't going to be me. Not without better support.
Well, you might have more support than you think.
I can tell you right now, if I were to announce that we were moving against Nika with Duga's support, I'd probably lose half the fleet right here and now. I don't exactly lead the Dancing Noblemen somewhere and am respected as a valued elder.
Where did Ninka come from, anyway? Heard she just kind of popped up out of nowhere the day things started going south.
Well, if you believe the rumors, she's a descendant of Tanaka, which quite is hard to explain her mixed heritage, to be frank. But as for where she came from, I can tell you she's definitely from the Fire Nation through and through, not the colonies. She carries herself in a self-assured way. In fact, I would come to believe that she has some level of royal military upbringing. Perhaps even went to that Royal Academy for Girls. Though that's not exactly enough to discredit her. Navy officer in disgrace is how this island got founded in the first place.
All come from various ways of life, but the timing seems a little convenient, don't you think? I gotta imagine other people feel the same way.
I don't disagree, but without any hard evidence against her, it's all the same rumors that Wing deals in.
If we were to get Kagana to perhaps push for a vote, you said if you backed her, half of your fleet would immediately turn on you.
There are plenty in my fleet who are more than happy to keep plundering and being the vaunted pirates of myth and legend. In fact, some of them get something out of it that they then bring back to the other downtrodden peoples of the world. And yes, I get the irony in stealing from supply shipments and then supplying the poor. if they had a tangible enough reason that what they would need a good reason to turn against Ninka. I'll give you that. My word just isn't enough to turn them. And as long as half my fleet would turn on me for turning against her, I see no real profit in making a move either way.
I look around the room to my companions, see if they have any thoughts.
At the very least, we should go find the old leader. See if we can acquire even further jigsaw puzzles to the ever-expanding pile that we have to assemble together.
Is there anything we should bring with us to make an introduction, or some sort of phrase that might bend her ear to our cause?
You're against Ninka. That alone would probably keep her from attacking you on the spot. As for an introduction, he looks around, fishes in his pocket, takes out what looks like to be an older Earth Kingdom gold coin. It has a unique stamp on the back that looks like a badger mole. He flicks it towards you. Tell her Mosi thinks that you're at least worth a listen to.
I flip the coin and kind of catch it.
But I suppose we'll return to port in about a day's time. Suppose we aren't going to be. Suppose we'll be greeted a little bit more friendly this time, though.
That may depend on the nature of your return.
Suppose so.
But from one old goat to another, I do miss the gal.
I look towards Melee.
Do I look that old?
Yeah, kinda.
I was talking about Kagana, but your beard doesn't help.
This is not my day.
Meng just kind of just pats him on the shoulder and starts hobbling out towards the door.
I got a big head and I'm old. And the world just doesn't slow down.
No. It's only going to get faster the older you get, I suppose.
As you leave the barge to head towards your ship, I would say, you all have the military background in one way or another, military or urban. I'll say you actually all notice this. There are a couple of people holding themselves up high enough that you smell the pyre howler off of them. They've been carrying, like, as you've been walking around the island, you've seen them carry themselves that way, like they were the town guard. They see you leave the barge, and they start to turn to leave. They're not following you, but it looks like they're leaving the area. Looks like they're heading towards the pyre howler.
Seems they've got eyes on us.
Yeah, that was bound to happen, I suppose.
Newcomers in town, meeting a lot of new faces all at once. I gotta imagine they're keeping their eyes peeled.
Yeah. So what do we do? Stay the course we were already on, or decide something different?
I wonder if there's potential in splitting up, having some of us head up to talk to the captain while the others keep up a goodwill mission around here.
Meng turns to the other two. I suppose you lot get a vote too. None of us were officially put in charge.
I'd say having some of us doing some talking around here, maybe get some ears out to the local people. Yeah. Seeing
Hearing-
how some
Hearing
people
local
feel-
rumors is what I do best.
Well, that one, and he gestures with his mobility king towards Kayo, has to run the boats. So they're going one way or the other. So who's going with them and who's staying behind?
I'll head on the ship.
All right. Jester boy, it looks like it's you and me today.
Okie dokie.
As long as that's okay with God.
Yeah, by all means.
All right, cool. Splitting the party.
All right. Let's go ahead.
We have no squishies.
Let's go ahead and follow up with the party going after Kengana. Go ahead and make me another rely on your skills in training, Kayo. See how well you sail towards the island OC mentioned.
Here we go.
Ooh. I'm gonna say it takes you more than half a day to get there. So,
Hit some rough waters.
yeah. So there enough time passes where actually everyone on the boat can go ahead and heal back their fatigue. You're able to get some rest, but you don't get to the island until the next day.
Yo goes, sorry about that. This rigging setup is a bit.
Yeah, I think this was meant for more than one person or more than two people, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Even with the old man, that would have been more helpful, but best to get our hands in every pot, I guess.
Well, hopefully they've been faring better.
Yeah.
All right. So, as you near this spit of land, don't let that first image deceive you. It's much less remarkable than that. You do make out some smoke trails from what appear to be a couple of fires on the island. You can already tell there appears to be at least a small camp there. A skiff seems to have been brought up onto the shore.
Wait, is this Sea of Thieves?
The lower picture is. The top one is from the actual book.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to pull from artists randomly, so I just tried to pull from the book or screenshots of Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, that works.
It made sense to me.
Better than AI.
All right. So, how are you going? Are you just going to pull right up to the beach and their camp, or are you going to try to announce yourselves? Just how do you want to make your approach?
How big is our ship? Is it big enough that we need to weigh anchor and get on an away vessel?
You could afford to beach it as well. It would just take a bit of effort to push it back out to the water. It's a dinghy.
The kind of shit that Gilligan got lost in.
Yes, one sympathizes.
I'd say.
I can earthbend us back out if we actually I can help us anchor it that way too. So we'll
Go
beach her.
on. Yep.
All right. As you land on the beach, you can't really hide your approach. There just isn't that much land there. So as you come up, you see emerging from what little foliage there is on the island, about 5 people led by an older woman who definitely carries herself with an air of authority. Without even having seen her before, you can guess this is Kagana. They all have their weapons out. Some of them have ignited small not candlelights, some little bursts of flame on the end of their fist. It looks like they're ready for a fight.
I hold up my arm and just yell, "Ahoy there! Mosey of the Dancing Nobleman!" And I pull out the gold coin from my vest, just kind of let it glimmer in the setting sun. Send his regards!
The 5 that have drawn weapons have not relaxed, but Kangana does a little. And she beckons you to toss the coin.
I step forward and just flick it towards her.
Catches it midair. She actually holds it up to her teeth, bites it a little, and then blows on it, holds it up to her ear. That old salty dog. I was wondering if you forgot about me.
I don't think anybody over there has.
Ah, Ninka not the head captain they liked.
Among some. Seems to be rather divided on that. Got some buyer's remorse after the election. Too real. Excuse me, I have a phlegm in my throat.
Well, if only they knew the full truth.
Well, I got ears. I'd love to hear it.
She gestures for those that are with her to finally put their weapons down. Come on, we got breakfast on the stove.
Well, we got some food waiting for us, and I wave.
Yeah.
As I kind of like bend a little bit more sand around the ship to make sure the tide doesn't carry her out.
All right. So as you come up to Kagana's camp, there are like a few fishes they have caught up on the fire, being tended to, and as she serves them up with a pittance of grain, like you would almost assume that they just grabbed sand from the beach and put it on your plate. All right. Long story short, Ninka's a cultist.
Cultist, all right. Might
Yeah.
need a little bit more embellishment, but
Kagana goes into her tent and pulls out a scroll case. It's not very fine at all, but it does have the Fire Nation royal seal on the end of it. This was Ninka's favorite possession. I think she thought she lost it, but really I scampered with it when I left. She uncaps the seal, brings out the scroll. She unfurls it. She does not give it to you, but she lets you read it. And it clearly is a missive to Ninka from, and it's written in such pretty letters, Azula of the Fire Nation.
oh, that bitch.
Leader of the Fire Warriors now. Tried to kill the Fire Lord, botched it, and apparently Ninka saw which way the wind was blowing, legged it. But she couldn't find herself to get rid of this. The letter itself appears to have been orders to be carried out during the Spirit Operation to discredit Zuko in the eyes of the Fire Nation, where Ninka was meant to sow discord among the Outer Islands. This plan, already well publicized around the world, was already foiled, and the Fire Warriors were outed as charlatans and suppressors, agitators of Princess Azula's return to the throne. So, the plan, whatever is mentioned in the scroll, failed. But you can see in the last paragraph, there is some small message of endearment from Azula to Ninka. She calls her the sharpest weapon in my arsenal, and I would hate to lose you again to the asylum.
You know, if the right eyes were to get a look at this, I feel like you might have a way back to your old position.
That's what I was thinking, honestly. I guess I could say perhaps fate just had me wait for you. I took this and didn't show it at the time because Ninka had just won the election. I didn't want it to look like I was too obviously trying to move against her.
Well, I gotta ask, this all happened because negotiations between you and the current Fire Lord went south. How exactly did that go?
I went to him and simply asked for the same deal Ozai gave us. Support, monetarily, supply-wise. But he reneged on the deal. He said he wouldn't be extorted by pirates or pay us to do nothing at all. And I will admit, part of me probably would have sympathized with Ninka's plan that we start raiding again to teach him a lesson. But she was bold, too bold for my tastes. I counseled some caution. She counseled anger and spoke to something I think far deeper. The Pyre Howlers probably wanted a chance to be on top. The Renegade Phoenix have always been chomping at the bit. And I think when it comes to Mosi and Duga, they simply wanted to see if there was something new worth offering.
Were you to be back in charge, what exactly would you want to be doing different right now? Your people at the moment are raiding and pillaging where they can. Unfortunately, that's disrupting the recovery effort of a lot of my people.
I simply want Crimson Sails to continue to exist and not just survive, but potentially thrive. How that's done, I'm open to suggestions. But clearly whatever I was selling was not what the people wanted when they brought Ninka up in my stead.
These waters are treacherous and tend to be a bit formidable to travelers. No doubt that's why you pray around here.
That and its more wide open space. The Fire Navy doesn't have any real place to dock around here, so they'd be making quite the trek to patrol this area.
And you don't exactly want to be a vassal state to them. I can understand that the whims of a government can be kind of fickle.
There'll probably be some that would settle for a distant ruler, but the Dancing Nobleman fleet in particular is the most numerous of us, and they love their freedom.
Why not set yourselves up as some form of free state trade corporation? You are.
You talked to
hub.
Duga before you came here, didn't you?
It just seems like common sense to me.
I would have nothing against it. If there's a way for us to go that course where Crimson Sails can survive, then I'll help pursue it. Though I can tell you, that would probably quickly lead to Duga taking over as head captain. I don't have the head for that kind of business.
You're more mercantile in nature, I take it.
I owned a fishing boat before the war scuttled it. So perhaps I don't even think I'd consider myself mercantile. I'm just trying to swim in treacherous waters.
There's a lot of ways that this group can go. That your island can, that this archipelago here could thrive as a free state. And I don't know which way it should go, but I do know this. If it continues the course the way it is, it's gonna draw the ire of everybody around the world that's been suffering from this war. And while that might cause issues for the Fire Lord and for the Earth Kingdom, what I do know is that eventually, if they all turn their eyes this way, if it becomes a big enough problem, I don't know how long your people would last. And I think that you have a better head on your shoulders to deal with this situation than the current management. And with that right there, what you have, I think we can start setting things right again. I have it on good authority that Zuko might be willing to hear out other options, so long as it doesn't sound like what would be the word? Not exploitation, but intimidation.
That sounds like a chance to me.
Better than, and I kind of like sprinkle the. Hola?
Sorry.
Oh, good. And I kind of like sprinkle some of the grain that's on the plate. This quinoa.
It's ground up seaweed that we dried out and fermented. I don't think we have a name for it. It's edible.
It's yummy.
You're the first person to say that since we got here. And the rest of her entourage just look at you astounded that it's palatable.
It's got a little fishy taste to it. I don't know. It's not like anything in my hometown. It's certainly better than Fire Nation prison food.
And to that, they nod. Oh, yep, that'll do it.
So, want to go sailing back with us? I'm sure there'll be some faces that'd be quite happy to see you, and others that would be less so, but I think we can turn them in the right direction.
Let's see if we can have a showdown at Pirate Isle. No, Captain's Isle. Captain's Isle. Sometimes I think I've had too much salt water.
Yeah. We'll follow you. Navigating here was a bit tricky for us.
You've got the better ship by the looks. How about we just sail yours and we'll tow the skiff with us?
Sure. Full crew would probably make this a bit easier, right? And I look to Kayo.
Yeah, probably would. Since the two of us took a lot longer than we should have.
All right. And so as you all board the boats with the foreboding knowledge that you've been away now for longer than you expected, we return. I always try to do it with the camera instead of the actual GM screen. Back to Crimson Sails. And back in time. So, with the away team that's stuck behind to either try and keep the peace or try to keep your edge in the settlement, what would you be doing?
I am sticking close to... I don't know if... I keep forgetting his name.
Melee.
Melee.
Or Red Trooper,
tempted
because
to
that's the costume he wears.
I am tempted to just make that canon that Meng Shou has not learned his name yet.
Hey, you!
Hey, it's fair. It's fair. I
Come
get
here,
you.
buddy.
Hey, pal.
So, our goal is to build goodwill, and you are a clown.
Yep, I'd take it that I'd probably be doing like some street performance stuff, like keeping also an open ear if I hear anything, too, while doing them.
No stranger to street begging. Bang is going to grab some kind of thing to... Oh yeah, I have a big-ass bucket of coins I can jiggle. He's going to grab some kind of receptacle to like walk around the exterior while keeping like a perimeter of like, keep the crowd at a perimeter around him so he has work to space while also like shaking a receptacle, and then he's going to keep an eye on the crowd.
All right.
For
Would you be
anyone-
trying to assess the crowd?
I think we would be.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, it would be.
All right. So, I don't think I'd even have to ask for a roll for me, Lee. This is well in your wheelhouse, and you're not doing anything too risky. You're just trying to get attention. So, you whip up a performance. Any acts you want to describe?
Maybe like kind of like sort of like maybe like kind of like a pyrotechnic show, kind of like smoke bomb.
Ooh, okay. Yo, that definitely gets a lot of eyes. At first, people rush in thinking there's a fight. In fact, I would say there's probably a good number of pyre howlers in the audience that showed up because they thought something dangerous was going on, and then they realized, oh, it's a show, and so they stuck around. But you filled up a plaza. Even Wing comes up near the edge of the crowd with his stall and starts hawking a couple of knickknacks. You can see Meng can see that he's now equipped the slingshot on his forearm too. But yeah, Meng, go ahead and you can go ahead and give me an assess the situation.
I clicked the thing. Okay,
Ooh,
yes.
full
11.
hit.
I
All
get
right,
to
you
ask
get
2
to-
questions.
Okay.
Let's see here. Where are my questions? My
You
speech...
can.
Hang on, is this a speech bubble?
Yes.
Hey, look at that! My speech bubble is for some reason merged into guide and comfort.
Oh, that's annoying. Oh, maybe is it
I
is it
see how it
because
is.
maybe the thing's too thin?
Maybe. Hang on, let me see if I... No. I've tried expanding my pop-up window, and I don't feel like taking a screenshot to show how messed up my...
We don't have to go that far into attacking. You've got 8. You got your 5 questions that come with the basic move. You have 3 more with the case the joint. So, which 2 questions do you want to ask?
Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay, so I think the first one is, what here is the most interesting to me? What's the best way? Let's see here. I am interested in sowing discourse amongst the. Do I see any people from the Burning Wave? Burning Wave is the one we want to piss off, right? Or is it
Burning Wave was Duga's. The flag you
Duga's,
stole was from the Renegade Phoenix.
Okay, so Renegade Phoenix.
Oh yeah, I
want
would
to make
say
those people hate each other.
To answer the second question first, well, you only asked if they were there, not if any of the applicable questions were there. I would say all 4 crews have been drawn in. So you recognize some of the Renegade Phoenix people, because they actually recognize Melee, who came up and entertained them on their boat. In fact, actually, you notice the crowd may be getting a bit too thick. If the Renegade Phoenix and the Burning Wave people get too close together, something may happen.
Well, my question is, what here can I use to make the Renegade Phoenix people start being rowdy with each other, not necessarily against another crew?
Make them rowdy with each other.
Like, can I hear any kind of gossip? Has there been any kind of, like, maybe somebody picked somebody else's mead and ran off with somebody else's... Do they have relationships on this island? What's the gender ratio here?
I would say it's pretty even. There are notable female pirate captains out there. They can be here too. As for making how to make the Renegade Phoenix crew, what here can I use to make the Renegade Phoenix crew angry at each other? You could try. I feel like if you brought up the flag, that would probably bounce back on other people more logically than each other. You might just have to like fake a confrontation between both of them, but between 2 of them. Like actually make one of them thinks one of. Yeah, I'll go ahead and say they're so focused on Melee that you could try to make one of them think another one like bumped into them, hit them. They're all very unrestrained cutthroats, so they aren't that hard to make angry. It's just directing that anger in the right place is the more difficult aspect.
Right. So let's see here. How would I best do that? Let's see here. I think...
Did you want to go ahead and ask your second question before you try and follow up on the first?
My question was... I suppose asking what here is the most interesting to me is not much different than what I already asked.
I mean, you could have something like you're a rogue. You could maybe notice something that's worth taking that may not have the result of making the Renegade Phoenix crew mad at each other.
True, that might come in valuable another place. So sure, I'll go with that.
All right, what's the most valuable thing to you?
Yeah.
All right, I'll say. Would you want Ninka out here?
Sure.
All right, yeah, I'll say there's a big enough crowd, and the Pyre Howlers are somewhat concerned about the Burning Wave and Renegade Phoenix crew being so close together that, I would say, yeah, Captain Ninka has arrived. It looks like she is a younger woman, probably about around Duga's age. Her hair is tightly wrapped in a bun behind her head, and it is a fierce red color, almost matching the redness of her irises. And her outfit kind of looks somewhat styled in the fashion of an old Fire Navy naval uniform, but it's clearly a patchwork job. And she's kind of standing at the edge of the crowd, flanked by at least one tougher-looking Pyre Howler. As to what may be exactly valuable about her, you notice a ring of keys on her back. Just a couple of metal keys latched to a ring on her back. It is on the side that would be between her and her howler, but it's there, and they're keys.
So he's going to start pushing his way through the crowd, trying to get like money, acting like he's getting money from deeper into the crowd, like the people in the back. And while he does that, he's going to position himself. He's going to look for two members of the Phoenix crew that are like a little too close to each other. And then he's going to pull that string trigger on his mobility cane again. And the hook's going to pop out. And he's going to use that to just ever slightly, like, jab one of the members in the foot that's closest to the other guy. So it's like he accidentally stepped on his foot or something while trying to get a better view.
All right, I'm going to make
while
this...
keeping his... Go ahead.
I'm going to make this a trick. So a trick move.
Yeah. I don't remember which one trick move uses, so hopefully it is not
creativity.
harmony. Okay, I'm good at creativity.
All right, it's an 8. You can pick one of the following 3 options. You can hit the speech bubble too if it's there. They stumble.
Yes.
Take +1 forward to acting against them. They act foolishly. The GM tells you what additional opportunity they give you. Or they overcommit. They are deceived for some time. Which one of those 3 would you like to occur?
They overcommit.
All right. So, you get very much a, hey, don't push me, bro. I'm not your bro, friend. I'm not your friend, dude. And it quickly escalates into a small tussle in the crowd. Slightly distracting from Mei-Li's performance as a small fight breaks out among the Renegade. Like, it starts with those two trying to fight each other. Then one of them tries to pull them off, but then they get hit, so they get mad, and then they punch the other guy, and then the other guy comes in with his friend. So it ends up being a real bashing of heads on that side.
Oh boy.
So now you have 2 full-blown distractions, and now you also have Pyre Howlers trying to get involved with the Renegade Phoenix situation, since they style themselves as the police force for Crimson Sails, so it's getting involved.
So he's going to just kind of stumble around and be like, oh, woe is me with this crutch, not being able to like maintain my balance. I need to get out of this crowd. And then he's going to... There's a part of me that wants to... How many of the crowd looks like they're Fire Nation?
A third. A third
I
closer
don't know
to
if I want to.
yeah, a third closer to 3/5. Like this is a bit of a melting pot because it started with Fire Nationals being jilted from the Navy, but then any sort of free-loving spirit or Ragamunk pirate joined up.
How far is Ninka away from the actual crowd? Like, is there like a gap between the crowd that I can't like?
She was interested enough in the performance that she's on the edge, but she's not totally separated.
So I can't pretend to like stumble backwards, have no balance on my artificial legs, and like fall backwards into her, trust fall style.
You could, but you'd only be like she would be behind you already. You would be falling into her, not really any other position.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Okay, so you just want to fall into her. It doesn't matter if it's from the front.
Yeah.
Okay. What would be your ultimate goal in stumbling into her? Just so I can try and think of what.
So my goal is to distract her. Like I'm waving I'm waving one of my hands around, and I'm trying to like use the mobility cane, and I'm trying to like angle the pose of the like while I'm falling backwards, I angle the long part of the cane behind her outside of her eye line while I'm like waving my hands around. Like I'm the cane is in my left hand, and I'm waving around with my right hand while I'm trying to catch balance. So I'm trying to hide the fact that there's a hook at the end of the cane while I hook the keys.
Okay.
And I'm like falling backwards, so I'm trying to like make her use her hands to catch me.
I'm gonna make this a rely on your skills and training. Mainly since this is going for the pickpocket.
Right.
All right.
Oh, okay.
I am being too successful. This is scaring me.
You if you're going for the key, you get the key. Like you fall into her and do the backswing with your cane to hook the key without her noticing. And as you pull it away, she kind of helps you unintentionally by pushing you off of her. She doesn't even try to catch you. She just watch it. And as she pushes you back, it wrenches your cane down and out, freeing the keys. And you
Right,
immediately dissolve right into the crowd because you were at the edge of it.
Right, I fall forward, so I duck underneath the crowd so she doesn't see where I land, while also like bringing the cane edge up to me and grabbing the keys, and then just trying to shuffle through the crowd. And then I rejoin Mei Li at the center.
Mei Li's still putting on a show, because there are a lot of eyes on that spot. Okay.
Well, I've got the key pocketed already. The keys are not visible anymore, so I'm just trying to slowly make my way back around.
So there's a fight in the middle of your performance, but you still end up with like half the crowd watching you, half the crowd watching the fight. So how are you, question pivoted now to Mei Ling, how are you maybe wrapping this up or trying to extricate yourself from the situation?
Oh, okay. I got an idea. Okay, so Mei Li's gonna like actually like step in between the fight for a second and say, "Hey, that's not how you do it. You do it like this." And he does kind of like a performed version of what they were doing. And now you would want to do something like this, and he does like what the other guy should be doing.
Oh boy. I'm gonna make this a push your luck. When you push your luck in a risky situation, say what you want to do and roll with passion. On a hit, you do it, but it costs you to scrape by. The GM tells you what it costs you. On a +10, your boldness pays off despite the cost. And I tell you what opportunity falls into your lap.
Okay, let's give it a go.
All right, that's a 9. So it costs you, but you're able to scrape by. So, is your intention to actually stop the fight, or just get you and Meng out of there?
Kind of like stop the fight. Kind of like, hey, we're doing a performance here.
Okay, so I'm gonna say it
Yeah.
cost you because you take a fist right in the face.
Ouchies.
So go ahead, mark 2 fatigue. But after they hit you, you realize that the person that hit you is actually the person that saw you on the Renegade Phoenix. And goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh no. Oh, guys, we gotta stop. I just hit the clown. I hit our plaything. Oh, I feel bad. Oh, guys,
All
come
good,
on."
all part of the show. Don't you worry.
So-
it happens.
The Renegade Phoenix people are now awkwardly apologizing as the Pyre Howlers are like, "What is going on?" And the fight stops.
Yeah, kind of like playing up like the dizziness and stuff, but going, yeah, it's all good. It happens. Like still kind of joking about it
All right.
before walking off with them.
So,
Man kind of just glares at Melee because he wanted to sow discourse amongst the Phoenix in case a rebellion breaks loose and there's going to be problems with them.
all right. So you guys were able to extract yourselves from the crowd, which is now dispersing since both forms of entertainment have left. But now you have yourself a little key ring.
Hate to look at the keys and stuff. So what do you suppose those do?
Well, Melee wouldn't know he has the keys yet because they're pocketed.
Oh yeah, right. Well, when if
So
you
he's
do
definitely going to
bring them up.
carry them off to the side, and it's like he's going to pull out the. So, old habits dying hard and whatnot. I kind of stole her keys. I don't rightly know what they're good for, but you never know. He like examines the keys a little bit. Like he keeps them close to his chest, and he doesn't want to like be seen with them. So he's being a little subtle with it, but he still wants to examine the keys.
What you got there? You hear some mumbling from below you.
Who's there?
Dawa.
He looks down. Oh. My house keys?
Doubtful.
You don't know me.
You're right.
I could
I
have a
don't.
house.
But I do know what those keys are.
So are we playing 20 questions, or are we just going to be upfront with everything?
That's to the hold in the captain's aisle.
20 questions it is. What is the captain's aisle?
Dawa points up out of the alley towards the rocks that still jut
Right,
out above.
right. That's on me. That one is on me. I should have asked what is in the hold in the captain's aisle.
Everything that the Pyre Howlers take as either their own plunder or their cut of the Armada's plunder.
So what we're after is probably in there. But we can't exactly... I'm going to go on a limb and assume we can't just walk into there and walk out with what we want.
Depends on what you want to walk out of. Walk out with.
That depends on what's in there.
A lot.
They're very helpful.
I know.
Okay. He turns to the clown. Would you perhaps have any better insight into this conversation?
Well, I mean, what about if we just took a look at what was in there, not necessarily take anything out just quite yet?
I mean, I'd imagine it's not exactly easy to get in there in the first place. He looks to Dawa.
Can you
Right?
Can you tread water?
He taps his metal legs.
How quickly do those rust?
Not entirely sure.
Well, it's not too hard to get in. The whole point of it is that it's easy to get to, just hard to get out. The captains go there to vote. And store plunder.
Right. Alright. Meng Shou is going to start heading over to the captain's aisle to like check out just general case the joint.
Okay. So, heading into the depths of Crimson Sails. More Sea of Thieves.
Oh, yeah.
You find that once you get past the rough exterior, you quickly find yourself in the midst of a tropical island. Dense foliage. The land is relatively small, and you can't farm from it. Most of it's either overgrown with foliage or rocky, and they never had any reason to, since they were being fed by the Fire Nation. So you actually lose out on a lot of the crowd once you start heading into the interior of the island, and it doesn't take much time for you to happen upon a lagoon near its center. It looks like when the island first formed, this was probably the caldera of a volcano, but since then has now been filled with rainwater, runoff, that sort of thing, to fill a shallow lagoon that eventually empties out into the sea. In the center of that lagoon appears to be a smaller rocky hill that has a cave entrance in it. And the lagoon itself does not look that deep. Like, you probably could just wade from where you are across it to the cave.
Right.
And there are also a couple of couple of rowboats to move probably larger pieces of plunder from the shore to the cave.
So there's no one in this area?
You don't see anyone.
Did Melee follow?
Yeah.
So he's just going to look around him and goes, "What do you think?"
Well, we're not really seeing anybody around here.
He's
Who got those keys?
Yes, I do. I do have the keys. He doesn't know how comfortable he is trying to wade through water.
I mean, I got an idea, but you might not like it.
What's the idea?
Like, Melee points to his shoulders.
How small is Melee?
Like about... yeah, medium. Medium height.
Like anything between 5 foot to 6 foot would be enough that if you were on their shoulders, you would be above the water.
Yeah, but I'm kind of wondering how stable he'd be. If you think you can
That's
carry
up to
me,
the dice.
Fine. At this point, my options are either risk wading through the water, go with the shoulders, or just give him the keys and have him go. We're going with the shoulders. Remember, this was your idea.
I said you might not like it, so let's see how this goes.
All right. I'm tempted to say this was relying on your skills and training, but I feel like the metal legs make this a lot heavier endeavor than just a standard acrobat's act. So I'm thinking about having you push your luck again.
Oh boy. Let's see. Push your luck. Oof.
Okay, yeah, you get about halfway there before you both fall in the water. Big splash. I want you both to mark a condition. Let's, for Melee, guilty. For Meng, let's say insecure. Your metal legs caused this whole problem. I feel like maybe they're being a source of shame right now.
All right. I got a -2 to tricking somebody.
And I got a negative to push your luck again and deny a call out.
All right. So we just kind of pick ourselves up and starts walking through the way.
All right. So as you get to the center of the island, again, it does not look like anyone is here. But looking into the cave, it looks like only for probably about 20 feet, it's natural before it runs into what looks like to be a Fire Navy bulkhead that had been taken out of the ship, and it is secured with a lock. And the bulkhead blocks any entrance into the cave.
So as soon as we start, I don't know if Mei Ling notices this, how well he notices, but you will notice that there is some level of steam rising off of Ming's metal legs, as the water that got treaded on them is now evaporating.
That's something I should be concerned about? Like looking at the steam?
No. So he's going to walk up.
Okay.
He's going to examine if there's any... He's going to try to examine any traps or additional locking elements, or if it's just straightforward, just undo the key and walk into the vault.
It looks like it's just the key. They probably just want a level of security that ensures that, well, hopefully ensures that the head captain or a captain is here to oversee the plunder.
This feels too... You have an island of cutthroats and backstabbers. There is no way this is the first time a key has been stolen.
Maybe it's
He
always
takes a
the
deep breath and
repercussions.
turns to Melee. You took a punch earlier. How many of them do you think you could take?
Maybe like still just like a small handful.
Great, fantastic. Wish the Earthbender was here. He will take the key and undo the door.
All right. The door opens, and it leads you further in. There is some like small pieces of crystal embedded in the wall in increments to form a lighted tunnel that leads you further in. Following the tunnel,
Lighted how?
they glow.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought I said glowing crystal. I must have just said crystal. Anyway, crystal glows. You can see further down.
Right.
It goes on. It kind of winds a bit before it leads to an open cove, where it's not big enough for a ship. I just thought the Athena's Fortune hideout looked appropriate. But the largest feature you see is a big round table, and in the table is embedded several daggers. Near the center, you see 4 much more impressive-looking daggers in the center. And then ringing around the table are various boxes and barrels, improvised chairs. Closer to the table, there are actually good-looking chairs. And then you see kind of ringing around the entire cave are crates, barrels, and sacks, all of which are emblazoned with the different symbols of the 4 nations. How deep into the cave are you going? Are you just standing near the entrance and looking in, or are you actually going further in?
He's keeping an eye out for traps, because this seems far too easy to his sensibilities. When in doubt, get a canary. He will jab at Melee's chin and gesture to head further into the cavern.
Let's see. I'm just checking something real quick. Okay, yeah.
All right, so Melee goes in.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Melee, you go in and you can see quite with better significance that this is a meeting hall of sorts, meant for probably the captains of the Armada to all come and vote, cast their concern. There is something about the daggers on the table. They must represent something. You're not quite sure what. But as you look around the wider area, you do start to see that a lot of the boxes and crates have signifying identification on them. This is the big stockpile of plunder that the pirates have been looting from their raids. And it doesn't take you that long to find a couple of chests and large crates that are marked with Zizon's Hope, the ship that got Zuko's attention and brought you into this whole affair.
It definitely seems like the stuff that we're looking for.
Yes, but it's not like we can just walk out with this. I mean, plus...
That's true.
And as you get that coordination from Melee back in the cave, Meng, you turn around to the shore and see Ninka and about a dozen Prowlhouse emerge from the foliage.
Okay, so I'm like...
They see you.
Okay. That's not good.
But they are still on the other side of the lagoon, so you have some time to do something. But they're coming. Oh lord, they're coming.
Okay, so... What are we... Okay, so it's a completely surrounded lagoon, right?
Yes. But they're only coming from one direction, which seems to be like... That's actually the same approach you took. They may have followed you.
Right. Okay. Grab an empty barrel. Find an empty barrel, find like one of the little... something we can sit on. Let's go.
Okay. Like, yeah, I guess we can start scrambling for, like, empty barrels or crates or something.
Oh, I mean, so it looks like several of the barrels in here are improvised chairs, so it's not that hard to find an empty barrel. So you have one.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to go start, because they are going to be waylaid by the fact that they're wading through the water.
Correct.
Can we start circling vent around the lagoon to the opposite side of the lagoon?
You can. So they've already seen you. So even if you get
Yeah,
behind
but-
the cave, they will lose sight of you, but can guess where you're going.
Yeah, but losing sight of me is the important thing.
Okay. So yeah, you go behind the cave. They've lost sight of you. You can already hear Ninka shouting a couple of orders for them to fan out.
He is going to throw the barrel into the water, sit on top of it, kick both of his metal legs up, and at the soles of the feet, there's just like the exiting of large metal pipes, and he is just going to firebend through those pipes and start propelling himself through the water.
Oh shit! Is Melee with you, or is it just you on the barrel?
That's up to him. He is. Come on.
Yeah,
Got
okay,
something.
yeah, no, like, I also got, like, a barrel. We kind of, like, tied them together, maybe.
Okay. Well, now it's time for you to press your luck, Meng, because this is definitely outside your warehouse.
Alright, pressing luck. Let's see here, which one's that? Hang on. Okay, push your luck, yes.
All right, it's an 8. You're able to do it, but it costs you. I'd say you are surrounded by superheated water by doing this. That your engine cooks the lagoon quite thoroughly, or at least the water around you before it disperses. The ambient temperature of the lagoon goes up, while the water around you starts to boil. So I'll have you take, I'll say 3 fatigue, but you rocket to the other side of the lagoon. They haven't even reached the cave yet, and you're on the other side of the lagoon.
Both of us take 3 fatigue, or just me?
Just you. Minghua
Okay.
is shell-shocked, but doesn't take much damage. Melee, sorry.
That's
Nah, it's all good.
that is... Ooh, that is a hefty bit of fatigue. Yeah, but they're on the other side of the lagoon now, so they're just going to start heading into the other side and trying to...
So from the shore, you can see that it looks like Ninka is perhaps leaving some prior howlers to guard the cave, but is also trying to continue after.
Right. So that was his thing. They're at least on the other... Is there more jungle on the other side of the lagoon that they can slide into?
If you keep going that way, you will run into a rock wall that represents the edge of the former caldera.
Okay.
So there is some jungle you can hide in, but ultimately, if you want to like try and get back to the port area, you kind of have to circle back around.
Yeah, but there's a lagoon, so it's enclosed. There's no like river or anything we can jet down, right?
Yeah, there's a small waterfall that lets out the lagoon into the sea, but sure. Let's say it's on this side, but it is just a waterfall.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that option. So we're going to the. Yeah, we're going to the other side, and we're going to try to like ditch them in the jungle.
All right.
Yep.
I can make this a rely on your skills and training. Just more bringing back your beggar, losing a tail.
Okay.
All right, a 7. I'll say failure to So the risk here is that failure to capture you means Ninka is gonna try and lock stuff down. It does mean other people may end up suffering as she tries to find out what happened to that key, who was responsible for it, did they take anything. So there's a risk of that. You can use fatigue to try and avoid that consequence, maybe to more definitely identify yourself to Ninka.
I'm already at 3 fatigue. I kind of can't take much more. I think I can... I'm going to take the risk that we can use the lockdown to our advantage later in sowing distrust of Inca and, like, showing that she's a tyrant.
All right. So
I'm going to go with that angle.
So you're able to escape for the moment, but Ninka is now fully aware that someone's trying to mess with her or get to the captain's stuff. So I am going to say I want to fast forward to when the rest of the group returns to Crimson Sails, but that does mean you guys essentially have pretty much a whole day to do something. What will you want to do? And an option is lay low and rest, so you can try and get some of that fatigue back.
Yeah, I mean we both got like 3 fatigue right now, so.
All right.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
Yeah.
I'm definitely doing that.
Lay it low sounds pretty good.
So you end up trying to find you end up resting in the jungle, because once you go back to the port, you have to like try and make a deal with somebody to find a place to rest. So you're only going to recover. Let's see here. What is the worst kind of rest you can have? Okay, it still gives you back 2 fatigue, so you can take 2 fatigue back. But you guys are resting in the jungle for the day, and you end up almost blissfully unaware about what Ninka's doing back in Crimson Sails. But then time passes, and the ship you borrowed crests the horizon once more, as the rest of the party, along with Kagana, returns to Crimson Sails.
Boy, I sure hope nothing eventful happened while we were gone.
How much could happen in a day?
Quinn, quick question. Very quickly. Does just jumping onto a barrel and jetting to the other side constitute a foolhardy action without talking to your companions?
Yes.
Okay, I am no longer insecure.
You hold on. If you're talking about bad habits, that is a specific move.
Well, okay. That's
yeah,
fair.
you have to indulge a bad habit on your own, indulge a bad habit with a friend.
Hang on. I'm just looking at the clear conditions thing on the
Oh,
basic
that
and
thing.
balanced
Okay,
move.
nope. You're right. That would clear it. I was thinking you were talking about one of your rogue moves, not the thing you do to clear a condition. You're right. You can clear it.
Yeah.
My
Okay, thank you.
bad. Anyway.
What do you
no
do
problem.
to check the clear conditions just again, or is that just
So
for...
the go to the handout tab on Roll20 and click on basic and balance moves, and it's going to be in the bottom right corner, a little blue box that says in bold letters above it, clearing conditions. And for you, you need to make a personal sacrifice to absolve yourself of guilt.
Okay.
Very role-play heavy system this is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love it so. But anyway, we return back to the other team that have now brought their ship back into Crimson Sails. Let's say you have Fang waiting for you as your ship pulls in. Boss.
Yeah, what site are we greeted by?
So from on the approach, it doesn't look like anything's changed. It's not like the place is on fire, place is smoking. But you can see in Fang's face as you pull up that something definitely has happened. Boss, the captains are not happy.
Why?
The Pyre Howlers went all through the place last night. They were saying that someone came in to steal the plunder. They tried to break into the Concord cave, and now they're on the loose. And she's blaming everybody. She's saying that Mosey's let him in. Duga's, I don't know what Duga's doing, but no one's seen hair of him since last night. And it looks like the Renegade Phoenix are helping the Pyre Howlers just root the place down. They've busted into 3 different joints as it is.
My eyes drift over to Kayo. Back to Fang. Would this be a bad time to mention that we brought the old captain with us?
Maybe?
I look back to, was it Kagane?
Yeah.
Well, I gesture.
She tucks back into the like indoor section of your boat, comes back out with a hood on, and just shrugs. That's the best I can do.
Okay then. Any word on where my other 2 traveling companions may have gotten to?
They didn't come back to the barge after you guys left, and I mean, I don't want to ruffle no feathers, but it's possible that they're the ones that got Ninkas all up in a stink.
Well, first things first, let's go talk to Dawa. Maybe they are more privy to the current situation.
I kind of am, Dawa says as she rises up out behind a pier.
Ah, well, that's convenient.
Yeah, everyone saw your boat come in.
I glance around the port.
No one cares right now.
Good. All right. That's.
Yeah, they're more concerned about your other friends. Because, yeah, they definitely tried to pull something yesterday.
Ah. Well.
My guess is if they didn't come back to the barge, they're hiding in the jungle.
So, first things first, maybe we should reunite with them and, perhaps you have a safe place for the lady captain here.
Dawa gives the creepiest smile as she looks at Chagana. The burning wave is at your disposal, my lady.
I'm not gonna read too far into that. You either trust it or you don't.
I don't. But I guess we're in for a copper, in for a gold.
I nod. And I guess we'll part ways with them for a while we go pull up to port and try to find our way into the jungle to find our companions.
Yeah. So no one stops you, but as you walk through the town, it's very clear that there is some sort of unspoken lockdown going down. Any sort of argument in the street is put down fiercely by the Howlers, and like Dawes said, the Renegade Phoenix people are backing them up. Any time you see, and it does appear that the Burning Wave suffers a lot from the Renegade Phoenix reprisals. Just a couple of shops that seem to be associated with the Burning Wave, smaller pirate crews that were associated in some of their business activities, like smuggling, their stuff is all busted up. It's not looking good, but no one stops you as you make your way into the jungle. And just to keep things short and sweet, some time passes and you're able to reconvene with your group. They were looking out for you, you were looking out for them, and eventually, in the midst of the foliage, you reunite.
So I know we were gone longer than anticipated, but what the hell happened?
In my defense,
Not the best opener.
no, it is not. Dawei told me where the thing was.
The thing.
The vault. I know where they have the stuff, and I have the key to get into it.
Okay, well... Were you anticipating relieving them of those objects without a ship?
No, I was not.
Okay, so
At the very least, I know.
Walk me through the process.
There you go. That was the process.
Okay,
Well-
well, we found the old lady captain, and she's got a bit of intel on her that could sway the electorate of this isle. Apparently, apparently Ninka, part of Azula's little cult of usurpers.
Meng Shou starts squinting very hard when you start saying Azula. Like, he is not a fan of the royal family at all. He tolerates Zuko with the level of ending the war and being with the Avatar, but he does not have a lot of love for any of the royal family members.
Apparently, she was sent here as a destabilizing force to make the world a little bit shakier, to try to throw the old gal back into power. Hopefully, what we brought back will be able to turn the tides to our favor and maybe bring some peace out to the seas here. But in the meanwhile, it looks like you two are fugitives.
Yeah, that's not new.
Not new for me neither. That does make this a bit trickier.
And I just wanted to make the Phoenix people fight each other, but that one stopped me. He clears that melee.
Oh, I mean, I wasn't privy to that plan. He didn't say anything.
You think two people just started a fight with... Okay, with this crowd, they probably could have, yes.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, these guys are pirates. I mean, that happens all the time. That kind of goes with the territory.
Well, hopefully we aren't gonna walk back into a full-blown war. Got anything that you can use to hide your appearance? I mean, those are gonna be a bit hard to hide. I point at the metal legs.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have a lot. Someone else will have to get something to hide myself with for me.
Grass
Maybe
skirt.
Maybe we can turn this to our advantage. You two showing up might draw out the agitating forces, and maybe we can force some sort of confrontation.
I was gonna point out too that Melee is actually kind of already wearing a mask, so you know you could just yoink, take it off.
I mean, that's easy.
You left me alone with him for 24 hours. I'm putting that out there.
Look, we got lost at sea. These islands all look alike.
Okay. Meng is just going to start walking back towards town.
God, you spent the night out here?
Yes. Remember, home was bigger. Since the war.
I get it.
I travel on the road a lot, so I'm kind of used to this kind of thing.
Musty.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
I'm gonna do my best to keep my distance from when you guys walk into town, because you'll probably draw some attention or some eyes.
I figured you'd walk in a good couple minutes before us, just so you're in the edge.
That's how we want to play it.
Yep.
So, fortunately, events may have transpired that moved things a bit off your radar, or rather you off their radar, as you begin to walk back towards town. A loud horn pierces the air, and it blows 3 times, which I will not do because that first one already hurt. Not knowing the significance, you come back into town to find groups gathering. And in fact, you see Dawa and Duga of the Burning Wave leading an entourage back in towards the jungle. But a pathway this time. I assume you guys probably didn't take to try and not get noticed.
Oh, I guess things are in motion.
Yep. Goody for us. I suppose we should follow.
All right. So as you follow, you begin to see that the horn call was most likely a call for a convening of the captains. Reasoning can't quite be certain, but it seemed
I can wager a guess.
Yes. And as you pull in with Duga's entourage, you see a cloaked figure with a familiar silhouette in the entourage. But as you reach the lagoon, some people wade across, others wait for a boat. Mosi waits for a boat, but it looks like about a couple of dozen, maybe upwards of like 50 people are being called to the cave, which is now guarded.
I'm going to put it out there. The fact that it's guarded now makes no difference to us. We're just going to watch this unfold.
Probably should have been the first time, honestly.
I don't understand it.
Real lack of reasoning on their part.
It's an island full of pirates.
Well, hey, did you steal anything when you got inside? No?
I wasn't wanting to steal anything when I wanted to scout. This was a scouting mission.
Yeah, I mean, all we did, like, pretty much...
Well, we can talk about the efficacy
empty
of
barrels.
pirates to run a functioning society till the cows come home. But, suffice to say, they're all in the cave now.
Bomb it!
Perhaps, as one could assume, a lot of the lesser pirate captains, the ones that don't have a named ship, or have otherwise been referenced to in the story so far, go figure, take a lot of the improvised seats around the edge of the center chamber, while Duga, Ninka, Mosi, and Tengfei, who you have not seen yet, but is... ripped my earpiece right out of my ear, go figure... is a older woman, closer to her 50s, about Mosi's age probably, who kind of has a much... Compared to Ninka, she is not as well put together. But if you had a word for how she looked, it would be comfortable. Her hair is let out of its knot, but you can see just a little bit of a kind of bump in her hairline where it appears a top knot is. It just isn't holding anything together. It's just a little bit of a bump on her scalp. And you see all the captains almost ceremoniously place a hand on the 4 daggers in the center of the table. And Ninka finally lets go of hers and throws her hand back and says, "All right, who blew the damn horn?" And in a discussion that follows, you hear that Mosi and Duga together ask that the horn be blown, as recent events have made it abundantly clear that there may be a new vote on who the head captain is. Ninka, immediately displeased, Tang Fei crossing her arms and leaning back in her chair, where you then have the cloaked figure step forward, and Kagana reveals herself to the crowd, with some gasps, but none of the captains in the center table have the same shocked reaction. Even Tang Fei, who seems completely out of the loop, she's just staring daggers at Duga this entire time. And Kagana points a finger at Ninka and holds up the scroll case. "I know who you are, Fire Warrior. Azula's puppet, brought here to sow discord. Well, we will no longer suffer your manipulation." And Ninka leans back and says, "I have no idea what you're talking about. I have been trying to bring order where you have invited chaos." And she just gestures to the whole room. So it seems at the moment that there is confusion. Some of the captains, on hearing the accusation of Kangana and seeing the scroll, she does display it, already appear resolved against Ninka. Mosi is letting the tides turn where they will. Duga supports the claim for Kangana against Ninka. Tang Fei is immediately against it, probably just because Duga is for it. And then Ninka, being the target of the accusation, merely seems to try and divert, saying, "Oh, the chaos you've wrought, your crew turned against you, this is clearly fake," just trying to deflect and defend. But things have now entered a strange balance, where it looks like, at best, what this may do is simply break up the alliance, not exactly install any sense of stability. So, you guys being here, what would you want to do or try to do to maybe push the situation one way or the other?
Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with like who's on whose side. It sounds like it's kind of a dead even like.
Yeah. So you have Ninka, of course, is against it. She is essentially against Duga, and then because Duga is even here, Tang Fei with the Renegade Phoenix is against him. So essentially is with Ninka.
Okay.
And then Mosi is leaning towards Duga, but at the same time, he needs more of the crowd to go Duga's way before he'll actually voice his assent.
What exactly is so stable about this place? That you think that you've brought some sort of order here?
I just like roar up from the crowd.
Right now, I look around and... I mean, if these accusations are true, I'm finding it easier to believe because this place seems locked down just about as tight as a Fire Nation prison skiff.
Ooh, that definitely gets a positive response from the crowd. Ninka tries to look for you in the crowd, but then speaks generally. "I have brought you wealth. She," gestures to Kangana, would return empty-handed from the Fire Nation, shrug her shoulders, and say, "Well, I guess we'll deal with it."
Trying to negotiate with new management. What are you on about? Sometimes it takes a few trips to the table to get what you're looking for.
And sometimes things are not given, they are taken.
And sometimes when you take too much from those that have a lot, they tend to notice.
That gets some murmurs in the crowd going. Duga nods his head. Mosi appears to be edging in Duga's favor with a couple of nods, but then Tang Fei slams her hands on the table and stands up. The Fire Nation will never tolerate us, whether we plunder their ships or not. The fact that we are here expressing our free will is a spit in their face. Why not plunder for our own sakes, whether we be conquered now or a year from now?
Is freedom like that worth annihilation? You can get freedom without risking all of your lives the same way. You're talking about going up against one of the strongest military forces on the entire planet that is now unified with the second strongest. If they wanted, they'd just point every mast to this little archipelago in the middle of the ocean, and you'd be a docking point, a midway point for their shipping lanes, a repair site for their military vessels in a matter of months.
Ninka looks up. Then it sounds like they have all the more reason to have already done it. Sounds like they're holding back. Not because they want to, but because they're weak.
And how long do you expect that to stay the case?
As long as we pick at their underbellies, it will be forever. I know exactly where the Fire Nation is weak. We can hold
Where's that?
She holds out her hand and gestures to all of the plunder around them with Fire Nation insignias on it. Wherever I say it is.
I start to, walk up from the crowd. All of this plunder was meant to help those that were hurt during the war. These boxes over here, medicine meant for Earth Nation villages that were ravaged by the Fire Nation. These boxes over here, food and supplies for those that were hurt during the war. You're taking and taking from the people that need it, not just from the powerful. I fought the Fire Nation. I've seen where their weakness lies as well. And it wasn't in their military, it was in their greed, their avarice that blinded them to what really mattered.
Meng Shou just nods in the crowd, hoping nobody spots him.
And you're making the same mistakes they did.
At that point, Mosey stands up. He's right. All this avarice, we've become exactly what we've been fighting. And it's cost us even more. There are other ways for Crimson Sails to survive without drawing the ire of the nations. Duga stands up. I already have a plan in place that will provide profit and prosperity to all who are willing to get some honest work done. Perhaps even some dishonest work too, but safely. All we need to do, and he points towards Ninka, is toss this bellicose bitch out on her ass. Kagana stands up. I failed Crimson Sails once. She looks like she's about to say more on that fact, but shakes her head. Give me a chance to lead you again, and I can take you to prosperity. And if I fail, then leave me to the sea. But For the spirit's sake, she slams the scroll case down on the table. Do not let this pawn of a Zula tear us apart. And it seems that those words, combined with Cao Pi's stirring speech, causes many of the surrounding captains to nod. Mosi, apparently invigorating Mosi to step further and put his hand on the dagger opposite of him. If this is truly to become a place where the Fire Nation to spurn the Fire Nation, then the Dancing Nobleman fleet has no home here. Duga puts a hand on his dagger. The Burning Wave will find other, more profitable ports to dock at if Crimson sails continue down this course. It looks like Ninka is about to grab her dagger and wrench it from the table, but Fern appears, and with a, viney plant stretching out of his hand, wraps it around both Ninka and the dagger. I am so sick of you, boss. And in that moment, it looks like things might come to blows between Ninka and Fern at the very least. Does anyone in the group want to try and interfere?
Meng Shou is going to has been slowly moving through the back of the crowd, trying to position himself in such a way that he can, if a fight breaks out, he wants to swing at the bitch.
Okay, a fight is definitely breaking out. So if you want to swing, now's your chance.
Yeah, okay. Let's see here. I don't think my moves can do much. Let's see here. I got... Sure. Let's see here. I don't want to waste my opportunity on evade and observe.
Well, so you have a method of surprise here. I wouldn't say we've entered a combat exchange. I would just say, with the roguish talents you have, this would be more relying on your skills and training to get into that first hit, maybe even the last one.
Fair enough. So yeah, he's definitely going to position himself against the stone wall. And he's going to put the heel on one of his metal legs against the stone wall. And then he leans forward using the mobility crutch to prop himself forward. And then he's going to burst fire out the heel of the thing, jettisoning him forward. So you see him leap above the crowd over the table as he comes swinging down and hits her across the face with the cane and tries to knock her to the ground.
All right, rely on your skills and training. Let's go. Ooh, all right. So I'm gonna say you pin her to the ground, but she's able to get out a very strange shout. The thief! That's the thief! They're in league with Kagana! And the mood in the whole room shifts.
I made things worse.
Cao Pi just kind of puts his palm over his face.
All right. You guys still have a chance to respond because at the moment now there's just confusion. Because suddenly this person's come out of nowhere, pinned Ninka. Fern looks at Cao Pi, clearly just still a bit drunk.
Trying to look at my options in terms of my moves and stuff.
I'm also thinking too, because like technically the only thing they, other than the key, the only thing they really stole was a 2-barrel seat. So I'm wondering if that could come into play anywhere.
I mean, 2 people now no longer have seats.
Yeah, I'm just imagining like 2 under captains, like the ones that aren't really that named or anything. They had to share a barrel.
There's definitely a couple people sitting on other people's laps, to everyone's humorous delight. But unfortunately, in the room, that's gone a bit south.
Okay, so
I will add, not to push you guys, but just to further develop the scene. In the confusion, there's a lot of stunned silence, but Tang Fei, the Renegade Phoenix captain, looks like she's going to get up and probably attack Meng. It seems like she's picked a side here.
Cao Pi failing in like just trying to like bring this situation back under control would stand up and just kind of shout out, "Don't let your baser instincts take away from your decorum. If we cannot decide for ourselves who should be properly leading us, if we resort to violence to solve this, who would benefit?
I would say...
Surely not the people here."
I would say enough of the crowd, especially after your first speech, cares about what you think that this can count for a plead move.
Yeah, figured. Hayashka! 7!
Alright, a 7. So, that is... They need something more. Evidence that this is the right course, guidance in making the right choices, or resources to aid them before they act. So I'll say you've bought yourself some time. There's a bit of murmuring from the Renegade Phoenix people, and that's actually thrown doubt on Tang Fei's action. So she is not moving against Meng right this second. But can you back up your plead for peace?
I will walk over to Meng Shou and grab him. And just kind of pull him away.
Right. That sounds about right.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. No. That a plead for peace along with disarming the person that caused the most harm in that immediate moment. All right. Ninka stands back up. It looks like she's about to attack, but Fern backs up Cao Pi and Meng, and doesn't try and entrap her again. But he stands up, looks to some of the other Pyre Howlers. They stand up as well. Captain, we vote you out. And as he says that, you see a lot more of the Pyre Howlers stand up. It looks like it is almost a simple majority vote. There is still 49% of the Howlers that would have kept Ninka in. But that's all you need in the pirate's life. So Ninka looks like she's about to rip the dagger out of the table, but Kagana steps up, puts her hand on it instead, and just looks at her, shakes her head. Fine. But I'm taking your crew with me. And she starts to storm out, and it looks like the people that were going to vote to keep her in as captain go with her. Tang Fei reaches for her dagger and just simply rips it out of the table. We'll find a new home. Tired of all this.
Best of luck with that.
Cowardice. And she shoots a glance at you, looks at your legs, looks at your cane, taps her forehead. Good idea. She leaves. Renegade Phoenix leaves with her. So, with 3 big daggers still in the table, none of the other smaller captains take their daggers out, so it seems they're in accordance. with at least letting Kagana take over, with what appears to be a lot of influence from Captain Duga.
I assure you, if you try to re-enter negotiations with the new Fire Lord, they might go a bit more swimmingly. Just might want to throw out the might want to offer the bit of plunder that was being used to help the recovering nations as a bit of a sweetener.
Kagana nods. Go ahead.
Throwing her under the bus for working for his sister is probably also a good idea. Damn, I shouldn't have said bus. They're putting her under the
Tiger
wagon.
oxen cart.
The cart, yeah.
Yeah.
She gestures to the plunder on the walls. Take what you will back to Fire Lord Zuko and tell him that if he is willing to give me more time and perhaps lend an ear to some of our ideas, and she side-eyes Duga, then there will be no further harm from Crimson Sails.
Well, given how treacherous these waters might become with the new, and I point to like the dagger gouges of the two recently recently removed knives. Renegade forces. Perhaps additional security in these waters might be worth a pretty penny.
Duga immediately lightens up and nods enthusiastically, and Kagana looks at him and just slowly nods as she looks back to Cao Pi. Then, knocked my Sonic Cup over. Go figure.
Oh, boy.
Claps her hand. Of course there's a Sonic Cup here. It's me. Claps her hands. Mosi, if you wouldn't mind helping them take some of our gesture back to their ship. Mostly waves at Fang. You do it, you like him, and he leaves. And with that, time passes. Doodaloo, doodaloo, doodaloo. Your ship is laden with the goods from Zizan's Hope for repatriation to the Fire Nation. And eventually, you make it out. With Crimson Sails, hopefully for the better, drifting off to the horizon. So I will add that in return for the goods, Zuko's make good on his promise to Cao Pi and takes you to Jasmine Island, where you can even sip some tea with Uncle Iroh, who's made it his retirement home after everything.
Oh, that's nice.
Does anyone else want to wrap up for their character? Zuko is, of course, in a very giving mood, but the Fire Nation's resources are what they are.
Yeah, Meng Shou wants to improve his homebow town that he lives in. He wants something that improves the homebow town. He at this point, he was taking anything.
Then actually, you'll be the first leg of the journey for the Crimson Sails Trading Company that tries to invest in some ports around the world to better expand Duga's trading network. The wealth flowing into the town helps revitalize its economy.
I'm ignoring the fact that you said leg.
It's pun not intended. Pun not intended.
Wow.
How ableist of you.
Damn it. Fucked it up.
Yeah, it really depends on how much Cao Pi rats out the fact that he made shit worse.
He wouldn't. He's a former Fire Nation prisoner. He don't snitch.
Especially no Fire Lord.
Yo, yeah, totally, correctly.
Like, I ain't gonna give you up, especially to the pig of pigs. Alright. Kayo, how would you deal with your Fire Lord's boon? Promotion, perhaps?
Maybe possible connection with the new trading company, you know?
You become captain of a freighter, complete with your own crew. Very young captain for your age.
That is going to go swimmingly.
But little Dawa is always there. apparently do keep an eye on Duga's investment. So you have a very probably uncomfortable shipmate, but you do make it out quite well.
Yeah.
Mealy,
Hey,
what would you want with the Fire Lord's boon?
maybe like be able to put on a performance either in the capital or the palace or somewhere big.
Yeah, you are like the next time they have a Sito festival, you are brought right into Haribulkan, the caldera for the capital city, and throw on the best performance for all the rich, snobby nobles and Zuko's delight. In fact, let's go ahead and say the Avatar was there.
Woo!
Aang himself got to see you perform. He did laugh, but you're not sure at what.
Gonna like be in the back of his mind. He laughed at something. I gotta figure out what it is.
All right.
I'm taking notes.
And all of you brought just a bit more peace to the healing world. And that's what will bring things to a close. Woo!
Hey.
Thank you all for joining me. And hey, 3 minutes before my max end time. I did it!
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Perfect timing.
All right. Thank you all for playing with me. You all were a delight.
Yeah, this was fun.
And thank you
This
all.
was fun. This was. Go ahead.
All right, and thank you all for joining me. If you enjoyed this and have some money to spare, I can run a game for you. I have up as an incentive on the donation page that I will run a one-shot for you and a small group of people if you're willing to donate. And if that's a bit too pricey for you, we have a bunch of other incentives. And if all of it's too steep for your blood, even $1 helps. It's getting matched by Team 4-Star up to now 8,000 in donations. So 1 becomes 2, all that jazz. Hey.
This was a good time. I honestly can't wait to see what other kind of one-shot adventures folks will be going on.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, folks.
No.
Sorry, I keep interrupting you, Ronin.
No. It's, to be fair, I'm trying to fill. I'm not the one who should be talking.
All right. Well, I'll end the stream here, folks. We can have our own commiserations later, but for now, good night. Have a good weekend.